Wuduk Wujujuduk. The Thunder Bee Queen, held in Beak Woon's grasp, tries to resist, but as the fragrance of peach blossoms fills the surroundings, she eventually finds herself with no choice but to completely kneel. From the Thunder Bee Queen's entire body, pure white sprouts begin to emerge. The sprouts envelop the Thunder Bee Queen, rooting themselves as they grow and tightly coil around her in the form of vines. Wujujuduk. Finally, Beak Woon, who has trapped the Thunder Bee Queen inside a wooden prison, begins forming hand seals. Dujujujudo. Summon Heavenly Lotus Great Mountain. The space tears apart as the sacred mountain of the bright cold realm, the Heavenly Lotus Mountain, is summoned to the 99th floor. Simultaneously, the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the lightning sacred sea begins emitting the same wave as the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the bright cold realm. As a sacred master, I command, this world shall now be a part of the bright cold realm for 3 days. All the floors from the waiting space of the lightning sacred sea's tower of trials up to the 99th floor are bathed in the light emitted from Heavenly Lotus Great Mountain. Beak Woon, with control over the 99th floor and below secured, stretches her hand towards the sky. Open. Jade walk. The void splits open, and the door to the 100th floor appears. Chia. Did it work? I stare at the opponent before me. The Sumeru sword dance struck properly. However, Golden Shaking Bird appears unscathed on the surface. After a moment, Golden Shaking Bird smirks and speaks. What is this? Using a sword dance that borrows power from the lightning sacred sea that I am the master of. Kekek, that's a bit impractical of you. It worked on Beak Woon. Is it the difference between a true immortal and the sacred vessel stage? Just as I am taken aback. JG walk. Suddenly, the entrance to the 99th floor opens, and an unimaginable figure appears from beyond. It is Sacred Master Beak Woon. At the same time, a spiritual energy wave that's the same as bright cold realm's spiritual energy emanates from beyond the 99th floor for some reason. Golden Shaking Bird narrows her eyes and, as if mocking, addresses Beak Woon. To cruelly kill Thunder Bee Queen who is like my child before coming here. You're too much, Beak Woon. Beak Woon scoffs and responds. Not your child, but probably just a lump of flesh. Don't pretend to mimic emotions when you have no attachments. I'm well aware that the only attachment you ever had was to the croaked Golden Divine. At those words, Golden Shaking Bird's eyes grow even colder. For a waste, you sure run your mouth well. Something that couldn't even dare look at me even when they were a true person sure dares to raise their head in front of me. It seems I'll have to make you lick my feet again after such a long time. I wouldn't lick the feet dirtied by the Golden Divine spit even if given for free. Also, true persons aren't supposed to directly look at true immortals. It wasn't that I lowered my head to something like you because I didn't dare to look, but due to the nature of the entering nirvana stage, you incomplete immortal beast, and you keep babbling about me being a waste, but... Pay it. A radiant light bursts forth from Sacred Master Beak Woon. On top of her own, the power of the bright cold realm is being emanated. As long as I am the sacred master of the bright cold realm, even if you are a genuine true immortal, you are not particularly above me. Gugugugugu. The dimension begins to shake. No, it feels as though the entire trial tower left behind by Yang Sujin is trembling. Is this Beak Woon's true power when she decides to go all out? It feels even stronger than what I faced last time. Realizing that Beak Woon's power has increased several times compared to before, I search for the reason and immediately understand why. I see. Activating the formula of extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, I can feel it. Golden Shaking Bird sneers at Beak Woon as she forms hand seals. What's this wasted thing mumbling about? Does this look like the bright cold realm? And do you not know who has the authority to wield the traces of my master embedded in your stomach? Wowung. Above Golden Shaking Bird's head, 2 clumps of light arise. Heavenly Black Banner, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Earthly Yellow Banner, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Kuang Kung. 2 giants of lightning peer beside Golden Shaking Bird. Each giant of lightning grasps a massive, pitch-black banner and a gigantic golden banner with both their hands. Wave Heaven-Earth Twin Banner. Golden Shaking Bird utters a Dharma formula, activating what appears to be an immortal treasure. The giants, each wielding a banner, shout loudly and begin to swing the banners. Heavenly Black. Earthly Yellow. The banners transform into streams of black and yellow, swirling in the void and colliding furiously with each other. At the same time, the yin and yang of heaven and earth clash, reverberating with a thunderous roar that envelops the surroundings with lightning. Thunderous roar rebuking non-human. Golden shaking bird activates something that seems to be a type of immortal art. Simultaneously, the lightning formed by the two banners strikes toward Beak Wound's stomach. It is the exact spot where the 7 lightning spears have been embedded. However, Beak Wound neither attempts to dodge nor shows any fear. Quarvirung. The lightning strikes her. Golden shaking bird sneers, covering her mouth with one hand. Do you now understand your place in the hierarchy, Beak Wound? For a waste, if you dare to lift your head in front of me. At that moment, Beak Wound clasps her hands together reverently and begins to pray. The devotee humbly requests, Dujijudo. The world quakes. At the same time, a massive beam of light descends from the sky, directed at Beak Wound. Golden shaking bird's expression shifts to shock. She urgently shouts something in the true, immortal language in the immortal domain. I can understand why she does so. Beak Wound's stomach. Instead of the 7 large lightning spears that had been there before, 7 tiny, needle-like objects are embedded. I immediately comprehend the situation. It's Jian Myohun. With Jian Myohun's help, she must have taken some measures to minimize the influence of the lightning spears while descending into the lightning sacred sea. Previously, Jian Myohun had been unable to properly control Beak Wound's lightning spears, but it seems he gained some kind of insight while touching my star tribulation. The golden shaking bird throws me aside and urgently begins to expand her body. It's as if she is terrified of the existence Beak Wound is summoning. As her body enlarges, she turns into a colossal hummingbird of lightning larger than a planet and looks down at Beak Wound before letting out a screech. With her single cry, it feels as though the entire world is about to shatter. In reality, excluding the entire structures above the 100th floor, the 100th floor of the Tower of Trials, and the entire world from the 99th floor down to the 1st floor collapses at once from Golden Shaking Bird's thunderous roar. An authority that destroys 100 dimensions with a single cry. This is the might of the Yang Sujin's fully matured thunder beast. However, Beak Wound's prayer has ended. As the sacred master of the bright cold realm, I humbly request, please suppress the evil immortal rampaging in the bright cold realm. Please descend upon this place. Dujijujido. A massive afterimage of light ripples behind Beak Wound. The being is clad in the same ancient immortal robes as the sword spear heavenly lord, with a Mayangyuan on their head and a mask covering their face. I am vaporizing. My face transforms into photons, dispersing into the void. Simultaneously, knowledge floods my mind. Water escape technique for hiding in the water. Sea escape technique for hiding in the sea. Rain escape technique for hiding in the rain. Furthermore, wisdom regarding immortal arts that can summon earthquakes and tsunamis, can cause endless rain to fall for 100 years to destroy a world, can usher in an ice age, and more are etched into my brain. 7th seed of the Radiance 8 Immortals, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Great Sea Heavenly Lord, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Please bestow the power. A deep, navy blue light begins to dominate the surroundings. A true immortal who governs navy light, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. The projection of the Great Sea Heavenly Lord enters behind Beak Wound in the form of a halo, lending her its power. Pazazazag. After perceiving the illusion of the ruler of blue light, my head fully vaporizes and I briefly lose consciousness. I regain my senses. I have returned to my main body. It seems even the spell the Thunder Bee Queen had placed on my head has vaporized into light, causing my soul and spirit to return to my main body. Regenerating my head, I survey my surroundings. What on earth? My mouth falls open as I take in the completely transformed Tower of Trials. An ice age, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. It's as if an ice age has swept through the entire universe. Countless starlights that once glimmered in the lightning sacred sea are now frozen, unable to emit light, casting the area in darkness. At the same time, the surroundings are filled with a cold so intense it feels as if even the soul would freeze. No, saying it feels as if even the soul would freeze is not a metaphor. T8 the plane of soul has ceased functioning. I am shocked as I observe that the intents within the plane of soul are barely active, as if frozen solid. The seventh seat of the Radiance 8, immortals summoned by Beak Woon. The power of the Great Sea Heavenly Lord has frozen not just the entire Tower of Trials, but even the plane of soul itself. I even wonder if parts of the plane of fate might have frozen as well. Hidhala. I momentarily cut off the star vein. All the heaven and earth spiritual energy flowing in through the star vein has been entirely replaced by the cold. If I keep the star vein connected, even my origin star would likely freeze. Dujujujujudo. I use the heaven and earth spiritual energy produced internally within my origin star to warm it and soar up to assess the situation. Payet. 99th floor. Arriving where Beak Woon stands, my jaw drops. Everything except Beak Woon, who is emitting a pure white light, is frozen solid. Yes, Yang Sujin's Thunder Beast's complete body. I mean everything, including the golden shaking bird. I ask Beak Woon in a daze. Did you exterminate the Thunder Beast? Who will? Beak Woon lets out a sigh. From her mouth, pure white heaven and earth spiritual energy pours out. No, she escaped. Pardon. I can't help but be shocked. 100 dimensions and their corresponding planes of soul and fate have all frozen. And even the frozen surface of golden shaking bird is right in front of my eyes, yet she says she escaped. I knew that the old-timer of the lightning sacred sea would be hiding something, but I never knew that the Tower of Trials extended to the 108th floor. Snap! Beak Woon snaps her fingers, and a dimensional gate opens above us. She fled to the upper floors. Foolish thing. Does she really think she can escape from the power of a heavenly lord? I must go up and capture her. The power of a heavenly lord. Indeed, the projection of the Great Sea Heavenly Lord that swept through this place just now has even turned the 101st floor, which Beak Woon hadn't detected, into an ice age. She's probably hiding on the 106th floor. If my assumption is correct, the 107th floor is Yang Sujin's treasure vault, so that lowly creature bound to Yang Sujin won't dare to go up there carelessly. Then do you know what the 108th floor is for? If my assumption is correct, the 108th floor is. Curious at the mention of the 108th floor, I ask Beak Woon, and she looks like she's about to share her thoughts but then furrows her brow. No, never mind. You don't need to know. Rest for now. I need to go catch that thing and then head to Yang Sujin's treasure vault to prepare for the end. Buang. Finishing her words, she crosses into the dimension of the 101st floor. I watch her for a moment and let out a sigh. Who? As heaven and earth spiritual energy is drawn in, it makes my core feel cold, but I breathe a sigh of relief. This was resolved far better than expected. Honestly, I had anticipated that conquering the lightning sacred sea would take at least several thousand years. Yet due to unexpected variables, Sacred Master Beak Woon descended and resolved it all in an instant. Now, as long as Sacred Master Beak Woon can retrieve the symbols of the Middle Realms, there shouldn't be a reason to worry about the end. I smile faintly, my face brightening. If that happens, we'll be able to bypass the end coming in the 10,000-year point and live in a world full of boundless time after the creation of the universe. Right after the creation of the universe, heaven and earth spiritual energy is hundreds of millions of times more abundant than usual, which will help my comrades' cultivation as well. Now, my only remaining goal is to find Kang Minhee and restore her mind. Everything is falling well into place. Crack. I turn to see someone who has come up beside me and placed a hand on my shoulder. It's Golden Shaking Bird. Her pupils are completely unfocused, and an uncontrollable madness fills her gaze. How you didn't, to the 106th floor. However, I soon understand how Golden Shaking Bird tricked Beak Woon and appeared next to me through the formula circulating around her. Extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. She hid within the formula of my extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. The extinguishing divine tribulating heavens that evades fate. Hidden within that formula, she evaded Sacred Master Beak Woon's foresight and concealed herself near me. Heaven. Golden Shaking Bird smiles. A smile that sends a chill down my spine. She pushes her hand even deeper into my shoulder. And through that, I come to understand how Sacred Master Beak Woon descended to this place. Did Beak Wound descend using the sacred scar of sword spear, heavenly lord on my shoulder? If so, what golden shaking bird is trying to do now is? With all my remaining strength, I turn my head over my shoulder and, to the bright cold realm's white jade pavilion that Beak Wound used to descend, shout to my comrade, Jian Myohoon, who was summoned there by Beak Wound. Run, Jian Myohoon. Quajijijijijk. Through the passage Beak Wound descended from, golden shaking bird reaches out her hand in reverse. A whisper laced with a bone-chilling obsession escapes from her lips. My Mr. Has returned net this time. Ewant till thimly thimgaga go go. Bright cold realm, white jade pavilion. After Seo Yunhyan departed for the lightning sacred sea, Jian Myohoon, who has been separately summoned by Beak Wound and is maintaining a spell to temporarily nullify the power of the lightning spears attached to her stomach, twitches his eyes. What's this? For some reason, a great misfortune is detected in his foresight. Simultaneously, from a distant, far-off place, a familiar voice reaches him. Run, Jian Myohoon. Seo Yunhyan's voice. Following Seo Yunhyan's words for now, Jian Myohoon exits the white jade pavilion and looks around. Seo Yunhyan, what are you talking about, Seo Yunhyan? At that moment, the sub-heart sword embedded in Jian Myohoon's heart essence vibrates, transmitting Seo Yunhyan's voice. Jian Myohoon, right this instant. Just then, Quajijijijijk. From the depths of the white jade pavilion, where the teleportation formation Beak Wound used to descend to the lightning sacred sea, is located. A massive arm of lightning bursts forth and chases after Jian Myohoon. Jian Myohoon flinches in surprise and decides to retreat, as Seo Yunhyan instructed. But in the next moment, before he even has time to perceive it, Jian Myohoon is already caught by the hand of lightning. Kug! Jian Myohoon tries to absorb the lightning hand, but as he does, an immense chorus of agonized screams numbering in the tens of millions reverberates through his mind, forcing him to vomit blood. Jian Myohoon faints completely amidst the ceaseless whisper that calls to him from beyond the arm of lightning. Master, 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 master. The arm of lightning pulls the unconscious Jian Myohoon and takes him to the far end of the universe, towards the lightning sacred sea. Quajijijijijk. I am bound by chains of lightning, unable to move my entire body, and can only watch as Golden Shaking Bird extracts something through my shoulder. Golden Shaking Bird pulls Jian Myohoon, who had been in the bright cold realm, out from my shoulder, miniaturizes him, and cradles him tenderly in her embrace. Finally, I have Master in Mahansh's mind, no. It will train him so he can never escape me embrace again from noen. It will be his master. It will make him into a bit if it cannot then breathe without me. And no. Now that I have obtained the truth of Rentioff, lightning sacred sea she extracts something from Jian Myohoon's body and scatters it across the entire expanse of the lightning sacred sea. I am the true god of the lightning sacred sea. Quarvirurung. Lightning rains down across the entire expanse of the lightning sacred sea. I can feel it. Through Jian Myohoon, she has now gained complete dominion over the lightning sacred sea. At the same time, struck by the lightning, I am instantly expelled from the lightning sacred sea. Pajajijik. This is. I look around with a bewildered expression. It seems others are just as confused, as the esteemed ones around me also look around with bewildered faces. The most shocked face among them belongs to Beak Wound. Beak Wound stares at the lightning sacred sea with a look of utter disbelief. And before us, the human form of Golden Shaking Bird appears as a projection. Haha, I'm sorry for startling you all. Originally, I was going to pass the lightning sacred sea to that extinguishing divine tribulating heavens user over there and head to the head realm. But my master has returned. My master has reincarnated. Can you believe it? Heh he he eh heh heh. But of course my master wouldn't remember his past life, would he? That won't do. After all he's done to me, he gets to live peacefully with no memories. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely not. Therefore, my apologies, but I will be taking possession of the lightning sacred sea for just about 100,000 years. She smiles brightly, lifting the ends of her skirt and bowing modestly as she speaks. From now on, I must train the master who has returned for 100,000 years. So everyone, as the end of whatever is none of my concern, I hope you give it your best struggling outside the lightning sacred sea. Golden Shaking Bird, who has finished speaking, bows to us with full courtesy, and then disappears just like that. Dusk. Beak Woon, silently looking down at the lightning sacred sea, extends her hand. The energy of the great sea heavenly lord that remains within her body stirs, spreading across the entirety of the lightning sacred sea. Shwa. Just like the spell used by the salt sea, esteemed one Yuk Jun, the entire lightning sacred sea becomes enveloped in water. Simultaneously, an overwhelming pressure starts pressing down on the entire lightning sacred sea. However, the lightning sacred sea doesn't show any particular reaction. So they've used the heavenly golden thunder body. They've sealed it up quite thoroughly. Sacred Master Beak Woon clicks her tongue irritably as she speaks. Esteemed ones, listen up. There is no longer any point in conquering the lightning sacred sea. Now, there is only one way to endure the end. Hearing her next words, I flinch in surprise. For the remaining 10,000-year period, we will bind the powers of the 5 middle realms, sacred masters, and esteemed ones as one to create a space that can withstand the end. There are a total of 27 esteemed ones within the sun and moon heavenly domain. Among them, including the newly risen esteemed one Seo, there are 26 with us. 5 sacred masters, 26 esteemed ones. We will construct a space for only 31 individuals to take refuge during the period of the end. And once the end passes and creation begins anew, they will emerge and revive their respective races. Some nodded calmly at her words, but a few, including myself, protested. Wait a moment, sacred master. What do you mean by that? Only we will take refuge. Refuge capable of enduring the end is a kind of sub-immortal realm formed by intertwining the power of the 5 middle realms. In that space, unless one exists as a conceptual being, it is impossible to survive. Only you esteemed ones who have become stars yourselves and have taken one foot into the realm of conceptual beings can take refuge there. If I could lead everyone to escape the end, I certainly would do so, but life forms cannot survive within the refuge space. Is there no way to make the refuge more suitable for other life forms to survive? Don't be ridiculous. It must be at least this much to ensure survival against the end. Frankly, even this refuge space is one where the conditions have been relaxed to allow you esteemed ones to withstand it. Although we sacred masters would have to pay a significant sacrifice, there is the possibility of avoiding end through the middle realms. We are only extending this consideration solely for your benefit. Is there no other way? Beak Woon clicks her tongue and replies. You think there could be one? Yang Sujin blocked off the exit, so we can't escape to other heavenly domains. Thanks to Yang Sujin, even borrowing the power of true immortals from other domains is difficult. The entering nirvana true persons are too busy worrying about their own survival. In this situation, what else can we possibly do? I let out a faint groan. Still, don't worry too much. Once we create the refuge space with the combined power of the 5 middle realms, the 5 sacred masters, and all the esteemed ones, we will allow you to place your cherished ones at the outskirts of the refuge. Of course, even then, the survival rate won't exceed 1/10. No, 5 in 100. The despairing odds weigh heavily on my shoulders. Now then, I'll take my leave. You should all return as soon as possible as well. Beak Woon places her hand on my shoulder, and, through the sword scar on my left shoulder, returns to the bright cold realm. I brush off my shoulder irritably as I continue to gaze at the lightning sacred sea. Jian Myohun. Yon Wei's request resurfaces in my mind. Her plea to protect Jian Myohun lingers in my thoughts, refusing to fade. But I have failed to protect Jian Myohun. Hey, esteemed one Seo, why don't you return to the bright cold realm for now as well? If even the sacred master has no solution, entering the lightning sacred sea is impossible. Our Hachek. Jai Waljin approaches me with a bitter expression and speaks. I let out a deep sigh and ask, is there truly no way? There isn't. The sacred master has declared it so. But can't Taoist Jiu draw upon the power of lofty, dragon true person? Not just the true person's power, but even the strength of the Great One, that the sacred master summoned didn't work. So what more can be done? Waljin sighs and continues. If you're really determined to stay, I won't stop you. However, without access to the path of stars, just returning to the middle realms would take at least 1,000 years. That's why we need to return to the middle realms even a day faster. What do you mean we can't use the path of stars? Since I arrived here by using the path of stars, I ask out of confusion. Waljin lets out a long sigh and explains. The path of stars is ultimately connected to the ancient force realm. and the path into that realm lies at the very end of the path of stars, at a decaying corpse realm where the continent known as the Peaceful Cloud continent resides. For convenience, we call it the Peaceful Cloud realm. Yes, I know of it. Good. Then, have you seen the remnants of the battle between the heaven collapsing, esteemed one, and the yin ghost, esteemed one of the ancient force realm that took place on that Peaceful Cloud continent? I recall the mountain that formed from the corpse of that enormous turtle in the Peaceful Cloud realm and nod. When we first set out for the Lightning Sacred Sea expedition, our plan was to travel through the path of stars. It's the fastest route. But a problem was that something possessed the yin ghost esteemed one. What something possessed them? That's right. Even though the yin ghost esteemed one was born with the true blood of the yin ghost black turtle and had considerable resistance to possession and divine descent. For some reason, that being possessed them all too naturally and tried to sever the path of stars entirely. Then, it tried to kill all of us who set out on this expedition to stop the end. Before I know it, other esteemed ones have gathered around, listening to our conversation. Among them is Jang-ik. We thought it was someone entirely different. The fellow was only at the early star-shattering stage, and they were an esteemed one who mainly practiced defensive divine powers, so we all believed we could quickly subdue them even if they charged at us in a frenzy. But Jang-ik shudders with an expression dread. They turned into a monster. No, it would be more accurate to say the something that possessed them turned them into a monster. After all the esteemed ones and I trapped the yin ghost esteemed one within the Peaceful Cloud realm, we manipulated the laws from outside the realm so that the power accumulated through immortal cultivation would become as worthless as garbage within the Peaceful Cloud realm. Since I hadn't accumulated my strength through immortal cultivation, my power wasn't reduced, but since they had reached the star-shattering stage through Earth Tribe cultivation, we used this spell to seal their powers. After I subdued them, those from the Nether Ghost realm tried to exorcise the being possessing the Yin Ghost esteemed one. However, as Jang-ik is about to explain further, he suddenly looks at me and says, "No, wait a moment. Now that I think about it, earlier when I saw you fighting, you've reached the star-shattering stage through heaven and earth dual cultivation, haven't you?" "Yes, that's correct." "No, then why am I wasting my breath explaining this to you? See it for yourself." "Pardon?" As I stand there bewildered, Waljin clears his throat and adds, "Come to think of it, esteemed one CEO has only recently advanced to the star-shattering stage, so it's possible you don't know yet. Moreover, most heaven and earth dual cultivation practitioners are far more accustomed to the heaven tribe's vision, so there's also that." "What do you mean by that?" "Since reaching the star-shattering stage, have you ever tried activating the vision of the earth tribe to its fullest extent?" Not particularly." "Then this is perfect timing. I'll teach you how to use the earth tribe's vision effectively. Now follow my lead." Wung. A Taiji Chinese letter appears in Waljin's eyes. I follow him and draw forth the vision of the earth tribe. The vision of the earth tribe is often said to be the eye that sees heaven and earth spiritual energy. It is the eye that reads the precise flow of heaven and earth spiritual energy and draws in information from the surrounding space. To be honest, this vision of the earth tribe is nothing more than intensely heightened animal instinct, up until the integration stage at least. Wu-Wung. The entire universe is dyed with Taiji. I see Taiji imbued in everything. Up to this point is what I saw in the integration stage. I read the information of Taiji flowing throughout the universe, further enhancing the senses of the earth tribe. Then Waljin's explanation reaches my ears. However, from the star-shattering stage, the earth tribe's eye finally blossoms, much like the heaven tribe's eye. Just as the heaven tribe reads celestial energy through attraction force from the chi-refining seventh star, the earth tribe can go against Taiji through explosion. TSD. Gradually, my senses come into contact with the very essence of heaven and earth spiritual energy. This is, as I intensify the senses of the earth tribe, I begin to perceive the plane of chi. Or as it's also known, I begin to perceive that the entire material world is undergoing a great transformation. This is the essence of the plane of chi. Kagagugu. Explosion. It is an endless explosion. All beings within this world are constantly exploding, emitting waves in all directions. And to the inexperienced senses of the earth tribe, these waves had appeared as the form of Taiji. Wu-Wung. Through these waves, I come to understand how this entire universe operates and how the laws are established. At the same time, I realize the 12 earthly melodies of the third star of Chi refining. I finally understand the meaning behind engraving the 12 types of heaven and earth, spiritual energy waves, during cultivation. So this is the true meaning of the third star of Chi refining. It is when I am marveling at this world composed of waves. A familiar wave reaches me. Is this Waljin's wave? I connect my mind to that wave and simultaneously hear Waljin's voice. You've entered. Now then, try to locate the wave of the heaven collapsing esteemed one. I've found it. I sense Jang Ik's wave. Connect your mind to that wave. If you understand that you, too, are a kind of wave, it should be entirely possible. Wung. A wave stirs from within my soul. So this is the true form of the consciousness domain. Moving the wave of my soul, my consciousness domain, I harmonize my mind with Jang Ik's wave. How does it feel? It feels as if I'm sticking my arm into something foreign. Imagine it as a book. A book. That's right, a book. Think of it as placing your finger into a part of the book. I've done so. Waljin's mind guides me. Following his lead, I move my consciousness. Chi Chinese letter is ultimately explosion, and explosion is the very trace of life itself. Therefore, one who approaches the essence of explosion gains the authority to peruse the traces of life, history. I understand. In truth, even without Waljin's help, it's an authority I would have naturally come to understand after living a few years as a star-shattering stage esteemed one. It's a sense that feels that natural to me. Wararak. As if turning the pages of a book, I move against the grain of the waves. Dozens, hundreds of scenes flash before my eyes. I recognize this sight well. During regression, it's what I see each time I go against the flow of the river of time. Retracing Jang Ik's history, I reach the scene he intends to show me. This is the true sense of the Earth tribe. If the Heaven tribe reads fate, then the Earth tribe reads history. Wararak. I arrive at the moment in the past when Jang Ik was fighting against the being known as the Yin Ghost esteemed one. The peaceful cloud realm where these two beings clashed comes into view. And I flinch in surprise. Jang Ik. Jang Ik is covered in blood, gasping for breath, while the black figure before him sits calmly atop a rock. Yin Ghost esteemed one. I heard they were born with the black turtle true blood, but an Earth tribe managed to overwhelm Jang Ik in their transformed state. TL, transformed state as in human form. The Jang Ik of the past opens his mouth. Who are you? How? How are you able to suppress me in your transformed state while within this formation that suppresses the power of immortal cultivation? And just why are you blocking us from reaching the lightning sacred sea? Then the someone shrouded in darkness replies. When do you think an existence truly dies? What? It is said a true immortal dies when they can no longer dream, and an immortal beast dies when they are completely forgotten by all. But both are wrong. In this world, death does not exist. What on earth are you talking about? Even after dying again and again, being reborn through the netherworld and living as a slave to fate is what we call life. What I'm saying is, in the end, we are bound in a cage where we cannot die even if we desire for it. I cannot understand what you're saying. How does taking over the body of the Yin Ghost Black Turtle and blocking us have anything to do with that? True liberation. If you wish to reach the end, Chinese letter, the first thing you must overthrow is not light but the underworld. The being in the darkness rises from their place. Their presence causes Jang Ik to take a step back. An foreboding wave radiates from the figure, dominating the surroundings. The true ultimate of the heart is something anyone can attain. Because death is ultimately the heart, we can all reach the extreme of the heart if we die. That is why the heart tribe is a futile, utterly useless existence. But at the same time, due to that damn wheel, we can never truly die, so it is also a resentful existence. Kuang. They extend a hand. A simple gesture, with no martial technique or meaning imbued, just a mere stretch of their hand. Yet Jang Ik, in response to that movement, launches slaughtering immortals, executing immortals, severing immortals, and collapsing immortals. He swings the four annihilating heaven's blade and barely manages to hold his ground. Dujijudo. Just what is that? They're not using any spiritual power. They're not using chi. Nor is it any kind of immortal art. Yet this unidentified being seems to drive Jang Ik to his limit, wielding some unknown authority with nothing more than an outstretched hand. O futile and resentful existence! The being looks at Jang Ik with an oddly sympathetic gaze and begins to expand in size. It's a turtle, the Yin Ghost Esteemed One, who inherited the immortal beast true blood of the legendary Yin Ghost Black Turtle, reveals their true form. Can you approach me? Puek? Jang Ik slices through the foreboding wave emitted by Yin Ghost Esteemed One, leaps into the air, and merges his 4 pados into one, annihilating Heaven's Chinese letter. Jang Ik's cleaving strike that's imbued with all his strength plunges into Yin Ghost Esteemed One. For some reason, Yin Ghost Esteemed One doesn't dodge Jang Ik's attack, allowing their shell to be split apart and die. However, even in death, they tear a jade plaque that looks like the key to the path of stars from Jang Ik's belt and swallow it. Afterwards, they collapse over the spot where the teleportation array to the path of stars is located, closing their eyes. Jang Ik, still drenched in blood, falls before the Yin Ghost Esteemed One's corpse and cries out as if in agony. Who are you? I'm asking who you are. Why would you seize the body of our comrade Yin Ghost and block us who only wish to live? They slowly close their eyes and respond. I am simply myself, and I did not possess your comrade's body, for Yin Ghost Esteemed One was just another personality of mine from the beginning. There is no need for you to know more, and there is no need to fear death, O slave. After all, the beings of the sun and moon heavenly domain are nothing but slaves living without truly living, between living while not truly alive, and death. What difference is there? For some reason, I get the impression that this unidentified being is tired. Tired of dying, even though they just said they're another personality of Yin Ghost. And so Yin Ghost Esteemed One dies, and all that remains is Jang Ik, covered head to toe in blood, howling up at the sky. Jang Ik grits his teeth and flies out of the peaceful cloud realm. This is where Jang Ik's memories end. Just what kind of being possessed Yin Ghost Esteemed One? Then, as I attempt to release the senses of the Earth Tribe, I realize that I can't let go of the senses. For some reason, my mind remains fixed in front of the corpse of the dead Yin Ghost Esteemed One. And then, blink, the supposedly dead Yin Ghost Esteemed One opens their eyes and meets mine. I feel a shock that seems to freeze my mind completely and gasp. Blink. It's because the giant turtle form disappears in front of me, and in its place appears Yin Ghost Esteemed One's transformed body, standing with their hands clasped behind their back. Unlike when they stood before Jang Ik, they are not cloaked in a foreboding aura, allowing me to see their form clearly. But seeing their true form only makes my whole body erupt in goosebumps. Because their appearance is exactly like that of Hyong Gwai, Chinese letter F907/Black Tortoise, of the black-scaled fish commanding sect. You must be this generation's golden god, letter F90A, I assume. Usually, only they or Silver Basket can master martial arts to this extent. TL, Golden God, letter F90A, has the same hanya as Golden Divine, Chinese letter. Golden Divine literally means Golden God person. Thump, thump, thump. Even though I have no heart, I feel as though it is trembling, and I lower my gaze to avoid meeting Hyun Gwai's eyes. Ominous, 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 and even more ominous. Never before have I encountered such an ominous presence. I just asked, didn't I, whether you could approach in front of me, so how about it, Golden God? Can you come stand before me, you futile and resentful leftover? In front of Hyun Gwai, who is emanating profound despair for some reason, I unknowingly shake my head. Instinctively, I understand. Hyun Gwai is no different from our natural enemy, Chinese letter. Hyun Gwai watches me silent and still, with his hands clasped behind him. I cannot read any of his emotions at all. It is a completely empty void, Chinese letter. A bottomless pit that endlessly swallows all that exists. Head yuck. I collapse on the spot, clutching my chest. The authority of regression is shaking. Instinctively, I realize this being is death. And at the same time, perhaps, this being is deeply connected to the very origin of us enders. So that's it, you are a being connected to our origin, aren't you? With that realization, I look up at Hyun Gwai, grinning so widely it feels like my mouth might tear. HM. Hyun Gwai's eyes slightly squirm. Let me correct myself. I will reach in front of you, I will reach you, I can reach you. Overwhelmed with exhilaration, relief, and boundless joy, I stared directly at him and let out a crazed laugh. You can kill me, can't you? Right. Go on, kill me. I'm telling you to kill me right here and now. Hyung-Guai looks at me with an empty gaze. Then, with a faintly exasperated tone, he speaks. Remarkable. No golden god in history has dared to even breathe properly before me. Given the absolute hierarchy between me and the golden god, you are a little unique. He wipes his face. At the same time, the appearance of Hyung-Guai changes. He transforms into the appearance of a young girl with a ponytail, clad in black martial robes. In order to properly surpass the light, I had intended to steal your strength today, but I've changed my mind. I'll give you a bit more time to ripen. Chiag. The girl takes a stance. I will show you the ultimate of martial arts. Watch carefully and try to reach it. With eyes of endless void, she begins to dance. That is, it feels as if everything in the world is vanishing. All that remains is her and what she is creating. Every one of her movements flows into the next, drawing a circle. At the same time, she melds with the circle as she dances. In the end, all that remains in all phenomena is that single circle. Within that circle, I can feel an unparalleled sacredness and ominousness simultaneously. And in the next moment, crack, at the final moment, the circle shatters. What's left is nothing at all. An endless void. The ultimate meaninglessness, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, where nothing exists. This is the ultimate of martial arts. A fragment of martial extreme, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Pazazazasasa. At the same time, the peaceful cloud realm from Jang Ik's past, which I am observing through the senses of the Earth tribe, begins to crumble into fragments and disappears into the void. Watching this sight, I finally managed to escape from the senses of the Earth tribe and return to reality. Jag jag jag. Someone is slapping my cheek hard. It's Jang Ik. Seo Yunhyan, are you awake? Stop pretending to sleep and get up. I'm awake. Jag jag jag. I've come to my senses, please stop hitting me. My head shudders as I look into the empty space with a strangely nihilistic expression. So that's how it is. Lud Yin said that I attained the 5 senses. Nether perception that senses the netherworld. Starvane eye that senses source river. Fetal movement that senses the flower realm. The basic consciousness that perceives the astral realm, and the derived senses for distinguishing planes and so forth. I possess 4 senses in total. Since the ability to distinguish planes and similar skills are derived from basic consciousness, they essentially count as one, and I had never understood why I was said to have 5 senses to perceive the 5 realms. But today, I finally understand. The sense that bestows talent upon Kim Young-hoon. The ultimate meaning of the heart tribe that I attained in my pursuit of martial arts. What I had conveniently called perception is, in fact, a sense that descends from the interdimensional void. It should not be called perception, but void perception, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Drip. Suddenly, I feel tears welling up. Jang Ik flinches in surprise and asks, why are you crying, you brat? Is your cheek hurting from the slaps? Look at this kid, crying like some girl from the small green race. Leave him be, heaven collapsing esteemed one. Judging by that expression, it seems he's realized that the person he likes has no interest or meaning for him. I know that feeling well. Slaughtering heaven esteemed one, Juk Guang makes a face of understanding for some reason, and I wipe away my tears and speak. Just now, I think I met the god of martial arts, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. What, then why are you crying? Shouldn't you be happy to have met such a being? Jang Ik seems perplexed, but I can't hide the emptiness in my heart. It's because I glimpsed just how empty and horrifying the ultimate of martial arts truly is. The martial arts Chinese letter I have been pursuing. I've now realized that the ultimate pinnacle of that path is nothing more than complete emptiness. The god of martial arts in this world is the being that governs the void. And I received a direct affirmation from that martial god that martial arts have no meaning. At my words, Jang Ik narrows his eyes. Did you perhaps come into contact with the being I encountered in my memory? I nod quietly. Jang Ik, after contemplating something seriously, speaks. Shake it off quickly. How can you be sure that the entity you encountered in the memory is truly the martial god? I have no choice but to be certain. What I saw at the end was, I feel my body trembling uncontrollably and struggle to steady my posture. However, I failed to regain my stance. Compared to that sacred, yet ominous circle I glimpsed at the end, all the martial arts I have mastered up to this point feel utterly insignificant. The martial arts I have trained in feel like trash, to the point where the very thought of displaying them further fills me with shame. Jang Ik, perhaps reading my heart essence, lets out a low sigh. It seems like you need a break for now. With that, Jang Ik grabs my head and heads towards a nearby star. The other esteemed ones also follow Jang Ik. The place Jang Ik heads towards is a star near the lightning sacred sea. It's the place Ham Jin once briefly visited, and where he ended up with dozens of wives. Tusk, your heart essence is shaken to the point where you can't hold a conversation. I'll need to use some shock therapy to snap you out of it. As he enters the planet with an atmosphere, he speaks aloud while stroking his chin. At that moment, Jin Waryong approaches and says, "If that's all it takes, it's quite easy. Hey, human race esteemed one, mate with me." She approaches me and gently slaps my face. Quarrung. I'm driven straight into the ground, buried down to the lava layer of the star. All around the star, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions ensue, with tsunamis rising. You drained fellow, now let me give you a proper education. Just as she prepares to charge at me again, Jang Ik grabs her by the hair and tosses her into the distant sky. Flash. From Jang Ik's body, dozens of patos seem to shoot forth, spreading across the planet to suppress the ongoing disasters. Kugung. Watching this, Jai Waljin lets out a sigh and stamps their foot. The crust of the planet rises, and I emerge from the lava layer back to the surface. Those crazy muscle-brain lunatics. Jang Ik shakes his head and clicks his tongue. Isn't there anyone with a more proper solution? He glares around, but all the esteemed ones except for those of the bright cold realm avoid his gaze. I speak with a weary expression. It's all right, master, I just want to be alone for a bit. Jang Ik seems to peer into my heart essence for a moment, then lets out a sigh and says, "Very well, do as you wish, but you must return to the bright cold realm and..." He looks at me and asks, "We were just discussing the path of stars earlier, but when you came here last time, didn't you use the path of stars?" At Jang Ik's words, the other esteemed ones all open their eyes wide. "Is that true, esteemed one, CEO?" "That's impossible. How on earth did you use that path?" I weakly take out a jade plaque from my sleeve and briefly explain what happened in the peaceful cloud realm. "I see. Since it's been some time since we left, the seal that Yin Ghost esteemed one placed over the path of stars must have weakened. With the seal and the energy that the Yin Ghost esteemed one held both dispersed, his body, which we once needed combined efforts to penetrate, was easily breached. This means we can all return through the path of stars." The esteemed ones are all filled with expressions of joy. Then Wai Muchen of the Sea King race laughs heartily as they accept the jade plaque from me and says, "Thank you very much, esteemed one CEO. If it weren't for you, our return to the Middle Realms would have been delayed by 1,000 years. As you've saved us esteemed ones 1,000 years, we will make sure you're properly compensated for that. Since we can reach the ancient force realm in just a few days through the path of stars, we can even directly petition the sacred master to lift the exile order placed on you." Jang Ik approaches me and says, "Then we'll be returning now. We'll also keep the path of stars activated for 500 years at the far end. That way, even without that jade plaque, you'll be able to use the path of stars to reach the ancient force realm during that period. I hope you can find peace of heart within that time." And he turns around as if to leave, but then pauses momentarily, meeting my gaze with a grin. "When you come back to the bright cold realm after you've regained your composure, that ultimate of martial arts, I'm expecting you to recreate that for me." "Yes, I will do so." Among the esteemed ones preparing to rise into the sky, I look at Black Fog, esteemed one of the true devil realm, and speak up. "Black Fog, esteemed one, Omu." They jolt in surprise at my call and stop in place. What is it, esteemed one, CEO?" "Distinguished one was the one who grabbed and tore this esteemed one last time we met, correct?" "That's right." Black Fog, esteemed one, Omu was the one who had viciously ripped me apart and attempted to devour me when I visited the lightning sacred sea with Jang Ik previously. They avoid my gaze and clear their throat. "I apologize for that incident back then. You see, our black smoke race originates from the blood yin realm's heavenly demons. However, we're a race that rejected Blood Yin's rule and broke away. Since we were originally heavenly demons, we carry an innate savagery. So when I saw esteemed one Seo at that time, I couldn't restrain that savagery. I deeply apologize for what happened then, and I will provide proper compensation. Understood, I accept your apology, and you are called the star-seeking esteemed one, I believe. I turn to look at star-seeking esteemed one Yoan. I've heard you're from the Batwing race. I know a child among the Batwing race in the true devil realm, and I would appreciate it if you could look after her. Also, they have a partner from the Horn Devil race who is set to become her husband, so if you could watch over him as well. TL, Chi Wing race was previously translated as Batwing tribe, so just gonna make it Batwing again. I entrust Yo-Un with a request regarding Su-In and Hong-Yon, and Yo-Un nods silently. Then we'll be off now, take care. The esteemed ones who joined the Lightning Sacred Sea expedition wave to me as they rise into the sky. The ones remaining are Heaven Collapsing Esteemed One, Jang Ik, and Slaughtering Heaven Esteemed One, Juk Guang. What are you doing, Heaven Collapsing? I feel a strange sense of discomfort. It's as if something sticky is clinging to my soul. I suppose it would be better to go to the bright cold realm and then investigate. I can't figure out why I feel this filthy. If I focus a bit more, I think I might be able to identify the source, but... He summons his Padao and glares into the void, while radiating killing intent. Juk Guang clicks their tongue as they watch him. Do it later. It would be best to have the sacred master examine your soul. Understood, let's get going quickly then. Jang Ik shakes his head at Juk Guang's words and follows the other esteemed ones. Finally, only Juk Guang remains in place, looking at me with an expression that seems to convey, I understand everything. I understand the feeling when one's purpose in life gets broken. Though I don't like you, your situation oddly resembles one I faced in the past, so I can't help but give you some advice. Even if your life's purpose has become meaningless, never give up. Even if the other person doesn't acknowledge you, continue to strengthen yourself and strive to reach the same vision as them. When you finally rise to the same vision as the other, sharing the same scene, that is when the true beginning starts. You haven't even started yet, so don't despair so soon. Leaning against a rock, I look up at Juk Guang and respond. Those are good words, thank you for the encouragement. The other person you speak of, is it Sacred Master Beak Woon? I ask, recalling Juk Guang's behavior towards Beak Woon. They nod. That's right. I've already been striving for tens of thousands of years to bear fruit between that person and myself. Though that person doesn't even look my way, I do not give up. Even when I reach the grand perfection integration stage, even during the star-shattering advancement ritual. I kept thinking that I'm in a much more advantageous position than other members of the tall tree race, being truly part of that person's family, and with that determination and hope, I condensed my origin star. As a result, I was able to reach the rank of a star-shattering esteemed one. You too, even if your goal feels meaningless, should keep looking forward and soar. Because until you reach the same vision as the other, all the rejections you've faced so far are meaningless. It is certainly admirable and rather comforting, but I notice something strange mixed in the words. What do you mean by truly part of Sacred Master Beak Woon's family? My mother's grandmother in her youth received the pollen Sacred Master Beak Woon scattered and was pollinated. As a result, my mother's father inherited the Sacred Master's lineage and was born as their descendant. So, Sacred Master Beak Woon would be, in your human race's terms, my maternal great-grandfather. A deep silence fills the space between us for a moment. Juk Guang frowns as they see the look in my eyes. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Don't try to judge the tall tree race using your human race kinship standards. In the first place, many of us in the tall tree race don't even have gender distinctions, and our concept of parents, offspring, and ancestors is entirely different from you mammalian races. No one else hears these things from me, but I shared this to console you out of special consideration. But how ridiculous. You foul-tempered human race. Enough, I'm leaving. Juk Guang, irritated by the look in my eyes, turns and follows the other esteemed ones onto the path of stars. I look up at the spot where Juk Guang disappeared with an incredulous expression, and suddenly realize something. Nah. Juk Guang's words were so absurd that, in the shock of it, I seemed to have partially recovered from the overwhelming shock of the ultimate of martial arts that Hyun Guai had shown me. I really wasn't in the right mind either. The esteemed ones who had been fighting blow for blow with me just moments ago suddenly started treating me well, and that Juke Guang fellow even shared a story he'd never told before to comfort me. Sure, maybe they want to strengthen ties with someone as powerful as me, but I stand up and draw the colorless glass sword with a grim expression and perch on the rock. You must be close by, come out, before I scatter subheart swords all over this star. Wriggle, wriggle. In front of me, a shadow beneath a tree seems to writhe, and soon a familiar face emerges from within. Black robe, black horns, and the naturally spreading, gloomy spiritual energy. So it's you, the one who orchestrated those esteemed ones to comfort me. The figure with the face of the Black Dragon King Hyun Eum just smiles softly with a kind expression. Ho ho Daoisio. I heard Hyun Eum died at the hands of the Mad Lord and jumped to another body somewhere, but it seems you managed to take over it, Seo Atrial. It's all thanks to Taoist's help. Due to Blood Yin suffering a devastating blow they could have never imagined, they had no time to pay attention to a mere clone like Hyun Eum. Truly, I owe Taoist Seo a debt of gratitude for your completely unimaginable assistance. Either way, is this esteemed one a Taoist to you? Call me senior. I spit out glass true fire, surrounding the area. This is to ensure that if he tries any tricks, I can make him experience the torment of hell through the power of the Avasai Hell Star body. I watch Seo Atrial with vigilance and ask, even if you brainwashed the stars and infiltrated various parts of the astral realm, how did someone like you, who hasn't even become an esteemed one, manage to manipulate other esteemed ones? I understand you've hidden Seo Ran in an alternate space. If you bring him out for a moment, I can show you exactly how that was possible. I see Hyun Eum was it. A Taiji Chinese letter appears in my vision. The extreme of the Earth tribe senses that Waljin taught me just moments ago. Perurerek. My pages flipping backward, the Taiji reverses, revealing the split soul of Hyun Eum that Seo Atrial has taken over. I read into Hyun Eum's past. I wondered why a being who was the clone of a true immortal was nothing more than a mere dragon king in the integration stage. So it was because of that. As I read into Hyun Eum's history, I leisurely exposed Seo Atrial's scheme in front of him. The being known as Hyun Eum was never a single entity to begin with, similar to the extraordinary pattern law talent, a certain conceptual being manifested part of its existence in the material world. If the fate of the extraordinary pattern, law talent manifests in the form of talent, then Hyun Eum is a collection of information created by Blood Yin through intertwining part of the histories of the immortal beast Black Dragon and Lofty Dragon. That collection of information manifested in the material realm, becoming the living beings known as the Black Dragon race. And the true origin of this conceptual entity was in the astral realm from the start, so that's how it is. I realize why Seo Atrial suddenly fled to the astral realm. I understand the reason he brainwashed the stars of the astral realm, as well as how Blood Yin was able to bind the true persons in the astral realm through contracts. I understand why they, while being in the interdimensional void, were able to transmit information about me to the true persons in the astral realm in an instant. It's the constellation. Blood Yin created an informational entity by gathering the histories of the immortal beast Black Dragon and Lofty Dragon, and then engraved that entity in the astral realm as a constellation. Through the constellation, they connected to the true persons in the astral realm and established contracts. And by descending the power of the constellation into the bright cold realm that reflects the astral realm's starry sky, he created the Black Dragon race. The mechanism that moderately instills consciousness and controls the slightly superior individuals among the Black Dragon race was Hyun Eum. I comprehend how Seo Atrial managed to take over Hyun Eum's body. The fifth seat of the Radiant's 8 immortals, Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, used their authority to shatter a corner of the universe, dispersing part of the constellation's power and severely wounding Blood Yin. Taking advantage of that moment, you swallowed up Hyun Eum through the stars you had brainwashed. Isn't that right, Seo Atrial? Ho ho, you've become a little frightening, Taoist Seo. He smiles as he meets my eyes that are swirling with Taiji. It seems he's already well aware of the information regarding the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, as he doesn't appear particularly shocked. The more I use it, the more familiar I become with it, this thing called Earth Tribe senses. Reading Seo Atrial's history through the Earth Tribe senses, I click my tongue. If the Earth Tribe possessed these senses from the Chi refining stage like the Heaven Tribe, perhaps the Heaven tribe would have been at a significant disadvantage against them. The senses that read history. This perception allows me to read parts of the target's history that I want. Just as I did with Jang Ik, I can enter a scene of history that the individual permits and observe it, or, as I did with Cohreal just now, I can instantly read only the information I need. However, it's not omnipotent. I can't read history in which I am not directly involved. As I've traveled through the Head Realm, Bright Cold Realm, and Ancient Force Realm, I've investigated the relationships between Cohreal, Blood Yin, Hyun Eum, Purple Soul filling the heavens, Tainted Soul filling the heavens, and more. The reason I could immediately read the hidden truth of Cohreal devouring Hyun Eum is because it is deeply connected to my own actions. As for the past concerning Cohreal himself, it's hard to read. Realizing that I can't read the history of Cohreal himself, I click my tongue. Is it due to his tainted soul filling the heavens? His past is wrapped in something dark and murky, blocking me from reading entirely. This is probably Ohaisio's authority. Just as Kim Yong gained an incredibly vast consciousness domain, it seems she obtained the senses of the Earth tribe from at least the star-shattering stage. Judging by her higher level of application than mine, it might even be Earth tribe senses that surpass the star-shattering stage. The legend of the noble blood true sea radiance body, or whatever among the fighting ghost race, seems to originally lean that way as well. Speculating about Ohaisio's authority, I look at Cohreal with eyes that bear the Taiji symbol. He raises both hands with a faint smile. I really can't compete with Taoist Co. As expected, I've been completely seen through. Ho, well, it's fine. After all, Taoist Co is the one who provided immense assistance in helping me devour Hyun Eum. I look at Cohreal with transparent eyes and ask, "What's your purpose? Why did you guide the esteemed ones to wake me up?" His goals are completely unreadable. I should be a harmful existence to you. If anything, if you're able to influence the esteemed ones to a certain extent, shouldn't you use them to press me even further? Understand his true meaning. I read through history and asked questions to make him reveal any gaps. Cohreal responds with a smiling face. There's a slight correction to be made. As it has not been long since I devoured Hyun Eum, I am not yet on par with genuine esteemed ones. I have only attained powerful authority over the Black Dragon race, the Sea Dragon race, and the heavenly fiends of the Blood Yin realm. For now, I can't manipulate the esteemed ones at will. The reason the esteemed ones comforted Taoist Co was because they already had some intention to strengthen their connection with Taoist Co to begin with. I interpret through Cohreal language, while at the same time, try to read his intention through the senses of the Earth tribe. Not readable. It's all lies. And Taoist Co is not a harmful existence to me. What? I flinch at his words. Because the result from reading him with the senses of the Earth tribe and the Heart tribe is. Cohreal's statement is sincere. Didn't Taoist Co just say it himself? Taoist Co is like a shield protecting me, so he isn't someone who is a threat to me. This is unreadable too. But if I were to deduce from context, it seems he is saying that because my act of deploying the sword spear, Heavenly Lord at Blood Yin, allowed him to gain benefits like devouring Hyun Eum from behind. Hence, he considers my actions as a shield. So, are you saying you're going to help me? There's no reason I can't. As I see it, there are currently two things that Taoist Co needs most. One is Taoist Co's comrade, the ghost guiding Holy Mother, and the other is. He points up to the lightning sacred sea floating in the sky. Trapped in the lightning sacred sea, currently undergoing sexual torture through soft feet, Taoist Co's comrade, Jian Myohoon. Aren't those the two things? I flinch in surprise at his words and ask, do you know Jian Myohoon's situation right now? Ho, I apologize to Taoist Co, but among Taoist Co's comrades, there isn't a single one who hasn't been infected by me. 7th seat of the Radiance 8 Immortals, Great Sea Heavenly Lord. Kuwug. Koog. Cohreal and I both collapse, blood flowing from our 7 orifices. I get up a little earlier and glare at him. This is the punishment for recklessly planting tainted soul filling the heavens in my comrades. Normally, I would have stuffed you with sub-heart swords and poured glass true fire all over you, but today, even if it's you, I'll hold back. I approach Cohreal, grip his shoulder and press down as I question him. Speak, can you help Jian Myohoon escape from the lightning sacred sea? He looks up at me with a smile. Now he no longer appears to me as terrifying and immense as before. I can control him, at least someone like this bastard. In that case, accepting his help shouldn't be a problem, even if I have to rely on his help. Let's get Jian Myohoon out as quickly as possible, before he is broken. If you grant me one request, I will help you. If you're going to bring up Seo Ran. After rescuing the ghost guiding Holy Mother and Jian Myohoon, the 107th floor of the Tower of Trials within the Lightning Sacred Sea, known as the Treasure Vault of Yang Sujin, please confirm what lies beyond it. What did you say? If Taoist ascends to the 108th floor of the Lightning Sacred Sea, I will give Taoist my full support. How does that sound? I remain silent for a moment. Then I speak. Fine. Thus, in order to save Jian Myohoon, I join hands once more with the snake-like Seo Atrial. First, do you have any concrete method to extract Jian Myohoon right now? The simplest method would be this. What is it? I use my tainted soul filling the heavens to fragment your comrade's soul and rearrange it. Then, by copying that arrangement and embedding it into the soul of a suitable living being. That's unnecessary. If you even think of doing such a thing to my friend's soul, I will kill you, even if I have to destroy the universe. Understood, I'll discard that method. Then the second option. Seo Atrial begins to explain his plan. Inside the Lightning Sacred Sea, the tens of quadrillions of thunder beasts within the inner section of the Tower of Trials will brainwash all those thunder beasts. Brainwash the immortal beast golden shaking bird. Are you saying you can do that? It's not impossible. I assume you already guessed my purpose. Presumably, it's the brainwashing of Blood Yin. I glare at him, deducing based on Seo Atrial's previous actions. He's been preparing for brainwashing through countless tainted soul filling the heavens, stubbornly clinging to a body of the sea dragon race derived from the split soul of Blood Yin's split soul, Ya Eum, and ultimately succeeded in replacing Hyun Eum, Blood Yin's split soul, with himself. From the sea dragon race to Hyun Eum, he's been climbing the chain upward through brainwashing. In that case, the final target is obviously Blood Yin. Moreover, I once read through Seo Atrial, discovering that his ultimate goal is to brainwash someone. To brainwash Blood Yin so that the leftover of the leftover of the leftover that is akin to you can achieve complete independence of self. That is the conclusion I've reached from observing you all this time. Am I wrong? Seo Atrial merely smiles faintly, without responding at all to my words. Whether this is truly his goal or not, it's certain that this matter holds considerable importance for him. After smiling for a moment, he continues his explanation. Well, assuming that's the case, Taoist Seo, why do you think I haven't directly attempted to brainwash Blood Yin with my tainted soul filling the heavens, but am instead slowly crawling up from the very bottom that is the sea dragon race? The difference in rank is simply too overwhelming. No matter how rotten Blood Yin may be, they are still a true immortal. Moreover, they once held the right-hand seat of the heavenly venerable of the underworld. They are the leftover of Yu Hao Ti, who once reached the rank of chief judge of the netherworld and partially restored a part of Yu Hao Ti's authority. Among true immortals, they are likely quite powerful. It is precisely that. The difference in rank is too vast. Compared to Blood Yin's main body, I am but a mere bug. No, I'm just inorganic matter that didn't even manage to become a bug. The difference between a grain of sand and a person is immense. If a grain of sand said it would brainwash a person, do you think it'd be possible? Impossible. Exactly, however, if a grain of sand exerts its full power, it can brainwash other grains of sand. I'm saying it can brainwash other inorganic matter. And the bodies of living beings are ultimately made up of nothing more than blood, bones, skin, organs, and if we go deeper, things called cells and genetic material. Going even further, those two are composed of inanimate objects. While a grain of sand cannot brainwash a human, it can slowly and gradually brainwash the inorganic materials that compose the human. He traces a drawing in the air. It is a helical gene, cells, and various parts that constitute a human from fingernails and toenails. From a single grain of sand to a single unit of genetic material, from a single unit to two, from 2 units to 5, from 5 units to 1 cell, from 1 cell to 5 cells, from 5 cells to fingernails, toenails, hair, skin, blood, organs, bones, all the way to the person's brain, to make the entirety of the person into oneself. After completing his drawing of a full human figure, he clenches his fist. Sururuk. The drawing of the human is sucked into Coatrial's palm. That is, the method by which an existence that doesn't even qualify as a bug compared to a human can brainwash and overcome the human. By brainwashing each and every component that makes up that being from the very bottom and making it all into my own. If you've heard this much, if it's Taoist CO, you must have figured it out right. Starting from the chi-refining thunder beasts on the first floor of the Tower of Trials in the lightning sacred sea, progressing through the second, third, and fourth floors, all the way to the thunder bee queen, climbing up step by step until the very end to brainwash golden shaking bird. Precisely, this is the only way to rescue Taoist Seo's comrade, Jian Myohoon. I look at him and ask, up to this point, it doesn't seem like you need my help at all, but it feels like there's something that requires my assistance. Indeed, the only one within the lightning sacred sea into whom I've embedded tainted soul filling the heavens is Taoist comrade, Jian Myohoon. Therefore, I need to infect the thunder beasts on the first floor with tainted soul filling the heavens through Jian Myohoon. However, Jian Myohoon is currently being harassed and guarded by Golden Shaking Bird on the 106th floor. Infecting anything with tainted soul filling the heavens under the nose of a true immortal level being is unimaginable. What is it you need help with? I know of the hidden method. No, the immortal art of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. It's called extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, correct? It's an immortal art that distorts the fate imposed by true immortals by cloaking one's fate with misfortune. Please teach that to me. After a moment of contemplation, I ask. As I understand it, immortal beasts are beings related to history. Using an immortal art to evade fate in front of beings connected to history doesn't seem very effective, does it? There seems to be a misunderstanding, Taoist CO. Golden Shaking Bird is called an immortal beast simply because it's a thunder beast of true immortal rank. In truth, it's not a genuine immortal beast. It was created artificially by clumping sect members and merging them together. An artificial immortal being created through heterodox method that can never become a genuine immortal beast. Golden Shaking Bird absolutely cannot wield the power of history. Rather, given it was once the weapon of the Heaven Tribe's Golden Divine, it leans more towards fate. I see, however, it might be difficult for me to transmit extinguishing divine tribulating heavens to you. Coatrial looks at me with a puzzled expression and asks, why so? I'm aware that mastering all the lightning path methods of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is a prerequisite. I can fulfill that condition right now through tainted soul filling the heavens. That's not the problem. I sigh, silently reciting the formula for extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. Extinguishing divine tribulating heavens is a cultivation method, as well as an immortal art, based on the Declaration of Human Rights. But at the same time, Yang Sujin, this human. Non-humans shall not inherit, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. It is also the will of Yang Sujin himself. The moment I even think of passing extinguishing divine tribulating heavens to Coatrial, I see the formula's words coalesce before my eyes to form those words, and click my tongue. Simultaneously, I sense Yang Sujin's will forbidding the people of this world from knowing the Declaration of Human Rights. To never transmit it to non-humans, how excessive. It's as if his will demands that not only should the beings of this world be denied enjoyment of the Declaration of Human Rights, but that they should remain utterly ignorant of its existence. It seems that extinguishing divine tribulating heavens cannot be passed on. The will of the Golden Divine stands in the way. There's no helping it then. Understood. In that case, Taoist CO will have to personally use extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. You want me to personally scatter calamity onto Jian Myohoon. There's no other way. Without this method, there's no path to rescuing your companion. Fine. Then tell me precisely what you intend to do through extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. Coatrial explains to me the plan to blind Golden Shaking Bird using extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, during which he would scatter tainted soul, filling the heavens. After hearing his plan, I nod. Very well, let's begin immediately. Understood, I will prepare immediately as well. Coatrial, still possessing Hyun Eum's body, melts into the shadows and disappears, while I soar into the sky, revealing my main body. Kagagagugu. As my main body emerges above the star, the eyes of the humans and various living beings residing on the star open wide in shock. I suppress my presence to the utmost, carefully controlling to prevent the minds of the living beings from exploding from unnecessary influx of knowledge. Then, I send a voice transmission across the entire star. Hear me, inhabitants of this star. This esteemed one has come from a distant other world. This esteemed one shall bestow blessings upon you, so prepare yourselves to receive the blessings of this esteemed one. As my vast will sweeps over them from the heavenly rain great star, all living beings on the star bow in unison, offering prayers directed towards me. A few days later, the inhabitants of the star have completely begun to revere me as the god of the star. Through a divine message, I issue commands to the residents, and soon at the center of the continent on the star, a grand altar is constructed at the place richest in spirit veins. It is an altar for extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. Countless incantations of curses and calamities are engraved on the altar in the language of the bright cold realm. However, I continue expanding the altar for several more months, waiting for contact from Cohreal. And 6 months later, at last a message arrives from Cohreal. Please begin, Taoist. Everything is ready. Very well. I issue a divine message to the inhabitants of the star, promising them blessings, and order them to prepare for the ritual. 3 days later, all preparations are complete. Payet. My incarnation descends above the altar constructed by the inhabitants of the star. The residents all bow and greet me in their respective languages, and I silently raise both hands. Crystal glass to treading sea. Twin flowers reaching the heavens. Huarurururuk. The yin soul fire and white orchid flame gather in my hands. Glass true fire spreads across the altar, activating the formula of curses engraved on it. A terrifying, ominous fire begins to blaze on the altar. Are you ready, Cohreal? Then Cohreal's response echoes back to me. TSSA. One by one, the stars near the lightning sacred sea begin to lose their light. It is as if all the stars are being swallowed by darkness. For the past half year, I have been preparing for extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, while Cohreal has been brainwashing the surrounding stars, enveloping them through the power of Hyun Eum to prepare for tainted soul filling the heavens. Before long, all 28 stars near the lightning sacred sea have lost their light, and those stars begin to form a formation. The star veins twist. The attraction force focuses on the lightning sacred sea. Simultaneously, all the spiritual veins on the star where I stand rush towards me, and I resonate with my main body to intensify the glass true fire. Then let us begin. Puek. Glass true fire surges, and my incarnation rises to the stratosphere of this star, reaching a vantage point from which I can clearly observe the lightning sacred sea and easily commune with the stars that Cohreal has seized. Extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. Tainted soul filling the heavens. Cohreal's darkness envelops me. At the same time, I draw the subheart sword and begin resonating it with all the subheart swords I have implanted in my comrades' heart essences. Please be mindful of the plan. When my tainted soul filling the heavens and Taoist Seo's subheart sword reach Jian Myohun through the plane of soul, Taoist Seo will divert golden shaking bird's attention with the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens and other methods. Meanwhile, I will infect the lower thunder beasts within the Tower of Trials with tainted soul filling the heavens. I know. Side by side with Cohreal within the darkness, I delve into the lightning sacred sea through the plane of soul. In the distance, I sense the wave of Jian Myohun. Though that wave feels distant, as Cohreal and I simultaneously activate the subheart sword and tainted soul filling the heavens, it instantaneously draws closer. Payet. At that moment, I enter the lightning sacred sea. Kurururung. Dark clouds gathered by calamity spread around us. Beneath the ominous clouds, Cohreal discreetly extends his shadow. I consider whether I might as well be able to take Jian Myohun's soul as I look back at him, who has allowed me to enter the lightning sacred sea. Jian Myohun. He is bound all over, with his eyes and mouth tightly sealed by white thread-like bindings, while tiny fairy-like beings whisper incessantly in his ears as if trying to brainwash him. Just as I reach out my hand towards Jian Myohun, Puek, a portion of the dark clouds part, revealing a familiar figure. It's golden shaking bird. She has fully transformed into her hummingbird form of lightning and glares at me, screeching in the language of a true immortal. How dare a wretch like you not know your place and disrupt the precious time between me and my lord husband, letter F92C. Being able to receive the immortal art of lord husband's previous life was my lord husband's grace to you, so how dare you bestow misfortune to lord husband and use extinguishing divine tribulating heavens? How disgusting! How laughable! Do I look so foolish as to not know how to counter extinguishing divine tribulating heavens? Her presence weighs down on me, as if saying she will no longer care about someone like me, and attempts to crush me to death. I try my best not to look directly at her, and continue to maintain extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. However, it's being pushed back, the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. With each flap of her wings, the dark clouds of extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, formed by gathering misfortune, dissipate. Are you not ready yet, Cohl? I need more time. Is it because she was the concubine and combat weapon of the golden divine Yang Sujin? Golden shaking bird swiftly puts an end to extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, as if she not only knows how to counter it, but break it entirely. At this rate, Cohl, who is working to infect with tainted soul filling the heavens, will be discovered. I need to take drastic measures. I bite my lip hard. Honestly, if it's not an absolutely critical situation, this is a method I would never want to use. But right now it's truly urgent. If I miss this moment, Jeon Myohoon will be thoroughly disciplined and brainwashed by this lunatic for 100,000 years, his personality completely warped. No matter what, I must buy time. To do that, I call upon the name I'd rather never utter again. Zhengli. The first cry. A faint attraction force forms. It's so weak that it seems it would soon dissipate if left alone. Zhengli. The second cry. Golden shaking bird, enraged, rushes at me, and I barely fend off her attack by simultaneously using both Sumeru sword dance and extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. At the same time, the attraction force strengthens, and I can feel myself connecting with the entity beyond that force. In whose sanctuary, Chinese letter, do you dare summon such a vile presence? Golden shaking bird, as if genuinely furious, channels all her strength to utterly obliterate me. Then, at the last moment, Zhang Li. With all my strength, I call for Jingli. In the next instant, Quajidajidajidajek. A being with pure and immaculate feet far beyond comparison to the likes of golden shaking birds, appears between me and golden shaking bird. Payet. The countless immortal arts and authority of lightning that golden shaking bird summoned to annihilate me are instantly erased, and she is forcibly returned from her thunder beast form to that of a girl, collapsing before the white-haired woman. Get away, don't come near me. Begone, I say, you accursed fiend. As if her very ability to speak the language of true immortals has been stripped, golden shaking bird lets out mental speech in a panicked burst, scrambling to get away from the white-haired woman while still on the ground. The white-haired woman raises one finger to her lips. The gesture seemed to say, SHHH. Azandaya. Golden shaking bird, who had been in a state that's half a spirit of lightning, is transformed completely to her human form with just that one gesture. Her voice, too, changes to a physical one as well. The white-haired woman approaches Golden shaking bird. Golden shaking bird, despite being an entity of true immortal rank, crawls away in a pathetic, unimaginable display, desperately trying to escape from the white-haired woman. Yet somehow, as if paralyzed, Golden shaking bird collapses in place. The white-haired woman approaches from behind and grasps her face, beginning to whisper something into her ear. Then Golden shaking bird begins to sob. Dee, don't lie to me, it's Master. Master has returned, it is Master. Master has reincarnated, don't lie to me. Don't lidant. Golden shaking bird thrashes about as if trying to resist the whisper of the white-haired being. And finally, as if finding strength again through sheer will, she lets out a burst of mental speech. Leave the lightning sacred sea, you hideous monster. Kirururung. Yang Sujin's ring finger shakes violently as heavenly lightning rumbles from all directions. The lightning seems intent on driving the white-haired being out of this world. Yet the white-haired figure appears entirely unaffected, spreading her arms wide with a laugh. Dujujujujudo. Her laughter alone causes the entire lightning sacred sea to tremble. Even the cry that golden shaking bird used when attacking Beak Wound feels insignificant compared to this being's laughter. That is her true level. Then the white-haired figure. Jingli finally speaks. CONVEYONBEHALFOFM. YMASTERTRASHTHATGOLDND. IVINELEFTBEHINDDONOTPRESUMETOHOLDWITHINY. OURGRASPTHEWHICHITWHICHICEHBELONGSTOTHETHRIBULATION. Chinese letter. SHALLEMERGETHROUGHFINEMENT. Do not prophesize, do not impose fate. No, I can't let him go. Master is now mine. Within the lightning sacred sea I am the god. The one who dictates my master's fate is me. Scram, you filthy traitor. THEBETRAYALL, ISWITHTHEM. Kugagagugu. With those words, Jingli begins to transform into lightning itself, leaving behind a foreboding laugh as she is forced out of the lightning sacred sea by Golden Shaking Bird. Her figure fades away. Then a response arrives from Cotriol. Let's go, Taoist Co, it is done. I suddenly notice Jingli's left ring finger has 2 identical rings worn before leaving the lightning sacred sea with Cotriol. Had I stayed any longer, Golden Shaking Bird would have captured my mind and tortured me for 100,000 years. Kurururung. The dimensional barrier of the lightning sacred sea ripples with immense lightning bolts across its entire surface. Watching the lightning, I shudder at the level Jingli just displayed. She's more formidable than expected, Jingli. The level she demonstrated was in no way inferior to that of the South Polar ritual treasure Yong Seung, and in terms of pure destructive power, she might even surpass it. More than that, I thought Jingli would do something to me as well, but, unexpectedly, she just left without doing anything. I consider myself fortunate as I once again send an incarnation to the star, where I conducted the ritual for extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. You have all worked hard preparing to receive this esteemed one's blessing. This esteemed one bestows blessings upon this world. I infuse a great amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy, produced by my main body, into the entire star. Then I breathe out upon the priests and disciples who worship me, along with the workers who took part in constructing the altar. Around those who receive my breath, masses of heaven and earth spiritual energy seem to condense into spiritual nature, Chinese letter, before being absorbed by them. Those who are already cultivators advance an entire realm, and those who are mere mortals are granted spiritual roots. Those suddenly bestowed with spiritual roots look bewildered, and those who have risen in realm express immense gratitude toward me for having resolved the issue of lifespan. For the next 100 years, this star will at least retain the level of heaven and earth spiritual energy comparable to ascension path, so an extraordinary number of individuals capable of ascending will likely emerge from it. After taking these measures, I retrieve my incarnation and return to my main body, then envelop the entire star with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. Wu-Wulung. Star vein eye, fetal movement, nether perception, void perception, and consciousness domain. To erase the star's existence in all senses, I cut. Payet. For a moment, the star appears as if it has vanished from the universe's trajectory. This record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts will remain in effect for at least 300 years. Golden Shaking Bird will neither discover this star nor realize that I have bestowed a blessing upon it. And after 300 years, all traces of my blessing will have disappeared by then, so even if she wants to punish it, there won't be any grounds to do so. By then, she'll likely be preoccupied spending time with Jian Myohun and won't pay any attention to this star. With those precautions in place, I swiftly step onto the path of stars. Kurung Kurururung. The space near the lightning sacred sea trembles. Simultaneously, I sense a massive killing intent directed at me from within. Golden Shaking Bird, having regained her senses, is now targeting me. Kurururung. A massive arm of lightning emerges from the lightning sacred sea, flying toward me. Golden Shaking Bird is beginning to exert her strength in order to capture me. Payet. I leap onto the path of stars, rapidly traverse the vast cosmic space, and address my shadow. So how long will it take for you to guide the Golden Shaking Bird? I asked in advance, before proceeding with the plan. I asked if it's truly possible to subjugate golden shaking bird with tainted soul filling the heavens. Coatl said it was impossible. Truly brainwashing a true immortal is, by itself, unattainable. His task is to implant tainted soul filling the heavens within golden shaking bird and guide her to create a gap that will allow Jeon Myohoon to escape. And just to guide her in that way required such a complicated preparation process. Coatl's response arrives. 10,000 years. It will take approximately 9,000 to 10,000 years. That's around the time the end approaches. If it were any less, it wouldn't be easy to implant an immortal art that guides a true immortal's mind. Fine. 10,000 years. An incredibly long time, but compared to the 100,000 years proposed by Golden Shaking Bird, it's a time frame that's passable. If it's 10,000 years, I feel it's something that can be endured. Endure for just 10,000 years, Jeon Myohoon. I will definitely rescue you. As I flee from the arm of lightning chasing us despite leaping across thousands of light years, I pray for Jeon Myohoon's safety. Padajidajijik. How many days have I spent fleeing through the path of stars, evading the grasp of the golden shaking bird? As I travel, the strength in the arm gradually fades, and eventually it finally vanishes. It seems it's impossible for it to emerge directly beyond the lightning sacred sea. It must have exhausted its strength trying to reach out from within its confinement. Payet. Now the end of the path of stars is in sight, and the peaceful cloud realm comes into view in the distance. A massive thigh-shaped decaying corpse realm floats in the cosmic space. Just one more crossing from here, and I'll be in the ancient force realm. The deep sea of the ancient force realm might be daunting to cultivators at the integration stage and below, but for esteemed ones and above, one can easily break through the depths and rise back up, relying on attraction force at a cosmic level. Even if they enter the ancient force realm, they can emerge with their own power without issue. However, instead of returning straight to the ancient force realm, I exit the peaceful cloud realm. I've come far enough that I could reach the middle realm within a few months if I chose to travel there, so there's no pressing need to rush along the path of stars. Rather than that, I take a moment to carefully observe the peaceful cloud realm from the outside. I've wondered about this before, but what exactly is this decaying corpse realm? No, it's probably not even a decaying corpse realm. The stars that connect the path of stars are all just true persons in disguise. Therefore, this peaceful cloud realm is likely also the disguise of an entering nirvana true person. But why would this particular being choose to disguise themselves as the decaying corpse realm? If I awakened them to ask, the living beings inside the peaceful cloud realm would probably be thrown into chaos, and honestly, I can't assume they would be a friendly presence towards me. Though curiosity stirs within me, I decide to leave it be for now, flying to a nearby suitable star and settling myself there. I then turn to my shadow and ask. Over the past few days, I couldn't ask because I was busy shaking off Golden Shaking Bird, but didn't you also say you'd help me find Kang Min-hee, the ghost guiding Holy Mother? Rest assured, I will help Taoist locate the ghost mother as well. Coatl emerges from my shadow with a faint smile. Tell me her location. I don't know yet myself. I'm simply having myself scattered across the cosmos in Hyun Eum to search for her. But please don't worry. In about 10 years, I'll be able to trace the ghost mother with my wife's assistance. What, so you haven't tried any tricks on her? Has Taoist Seo forgot what he planted in the bosom of the ghost mother? Well, just inform me of her location once you succeed in finding her. And oh hi Seo. I look at Coatl as I speak. I know you're acting as Coatl's eyes right now. You're probably watching our conversation as well. If you find Kang Min-hee in the future, you're to retrieve every record of her movements since she arrived in the astral realm and deliver them to me. Understood, R. My wife is asking Taoist Seo, who do you think you are to be giving orders? Since Coatl is right in front of me, and you're connected to Coatl, I can locate you at any time through Coatl and launch an attack. Huaruruk. I speak, letting glass true fire rise from my body. It's not a joke. By using the subheart sword and flower soul filling the heavens to pass through Coatl's tainted soul filling the heavens, I can pinpoint Ohaiseo's location. Using this method, I can send her the subheart sword imbued with glass true fire. My wife says she accepts the terms. She should have done so from the start. I release the glass true fire, and assume a lotus position. I can afford to wait 10 years. Kang Min-hee's location is immensely important to me as well. Originally, I thought I'd have to fly aimlessly around the entire universe searching for her. But with this method, I'll be able to memorize her location and find her directly later on. Once I've found the ghost mother's location and gathered her movement records over the past 100 years, I'll see Taoist again. Farewell. With those words, Coatrial vanishes from the spot. I gaze into space from atop the desolate star, then attempt to connect with my comrades' sub-heart swords that are linked to their souls. The distance to the lightning sacred sea is too great, so while the sub-heart swords can resonate with each other, they can't maintain a connection from that far. However, near the peaceful cloud realm, connecting with the sub-heart swords is entirely possible. For now, returning to the bright cold realm with my main body would be difficult. I feel a sense of shame towards Yeonwei. Yeonwei might actually hang herself. No, I won't tell her that Jeon Myung-hoon has been kidnapped, just yet. For now, let's just greet my comrades and update them on recent events through the sub-heart sword. Just as I think this, Lem, Pida. Something like a flash of light flickers, and my connection through the sub-heart sword is cut off. What was that? Curious, I attempt to reconnect to the sub-heart sword through the plane of soul, and in the next instant, a flash appears, and the connection is broken once more. What the? Determined, I reconnect the sub-heart sword. Fine, I'll establish a solid connection through the plane of soul. Pay it. Just as my consciousness is about to reach my comrade. Flash. I see it. When I elevate my mind fully to the plane of soul, I finally see it. The scene of a golden radiance flashing in the plane of soul and severing my very will in an instant before disappearing. I let out a small chuckle and begin concentrating my mind with all my strength. So that's how it is. Perhaps this is a blessing in disguise. Although Jeon Myung-hoon is doomed to endure 10,000 years of pleasure training, it seems there are those who have grown in power during that time. You sure are fast. I hadn't even noticed. It's probably because of Hyun Gwai. Ever since witnessing the pinnacle of martial arts shown by the owner of the void, my enlightenment has become scattered, which might explain my lapse in perception. But, even with that in mind, the speed is astonishingly hard to even perceive. There's only one being with both this speed and this golden radiance. I prepare to reconnect with my comrades. If I am to break through this speed and reconnect, there's only one way. I must pierce through. No matter how quickly my will is cut off, I need to crush his very intent moving at that speed with enough powerful force and pierce directly through. Kagagugu. I pull my main body up momentarily to the plane of soul. Then within the plane of soul, I overlay my shining light with the appearance of my main body. On the plane of soul, the forms of stars become one. At the same time, boundless power begins surging from that spot. Here I come, this time you won't stop me. Dujujujudo. The entire plane of soul nearby begins to shake. I focus my consciousness directly through the plane of soul. Quang. Immediately, my consciousness collides with something. Once again, something incredibly fast attempts to sever my consciousness, but due to the difference in weight, I feel something breaking. And at that very moment, my consciousness finally reaches the bright cold realm. Warak. The place where I open my eyes is the cedar wood grove in the bright cold realm. Above a mountain. On the mountain peak. In front of me stands a familiar figure, gripping a saber and grinning. You're here. The man in black martial attire. Kim Young-hoon, wearing a bright expression, immediately readies himself. Come at me. Today I'll show you who the real Hyung Nim is. I smile faintly at his words and raise both hands. I can feel Kim Young-hoon tensing as he envelops his entire body in sharp energy. At the edge of the imminent clash, I spread both my hands wide and laugh. I surrender. What? Kim Young-hoon frowns and asks again. What kind of crazy talk is this? Are you doing this because you don't understand why I'm acting this way? Yes, I understand. Congratulations, Young-hoon Hyung Nim. Through the plane of soul, I gaze into Kim Young-hoon's soul. Currently, he exists within the plane of soul as a radiant star, with clouds gathering around him and emitting a brilliant light. He too has reached the realm of void shattering. Kim Young-hoon, brimming with sharp energy as if he's about to cut me down at any moment, shouts. If you know, why are you acting like this, before I cut you down right now? Just as he grows excited and prepares to swing his saber. Tad, you're here, Seo Yunhyan. Someone jumps in between me and Kim Young-hoon. So, have you managed to control your emotions? It's Jang Ik. I haven't managed to control them yet. Because of that, my current realm is also in an unstable state. Beyond Jang Ik, I look at Kim Young-hoon and raise the all-heavens sword above my hand. Wowung. The formless sword compresses, and a single sword with all of the heaven's natural colors appear above my hand. This is my sword that has reached the realm of seated detachment, entering hope. And going further from here, this is my sword that has reached the realm of void shattering. Kiyang. The all-heaven sword, compressed from the formless sword, compresses once again. Taking on a form akin to a line of intent, I gaze at the all-heaven sword, which has materialized as the very concept of cutting itself. This is my sword. At a glance it appears unimpressive, merely a thin line. But this is my sword, manifested as the very concept of cutting. I returned from briefly visiting the Lightning Sacred Sea. Near the Lightning Sacred Sea, I encountered an incident and had to witness something terrifying. Something terrifying. Kim Young-hoon looks puzzled, and I try to move the compressed all-heaven sword. However, the thin all-heaven sword seems to distort in air and then, like a reed, snaps and scatters into the air. A terrifying martial art that denies the very meaning of martial arts. I had to witness the emptiness that renders everything we've trained as meaningless. Since then, I've begun to have doubts about my martial arts. Because of that, my current realm has become unstable. While I can still use the subheart sword and the basic abilities of void shattering to some extent, fighting as a true martial artist is difficult. Jang Ik supplements my explanation. This brat seems to have encountered some transcendent entity out in the distant universe. Ever since then, he's been in this state. I see, well, I understand for now. It seems Kim Young-hoon and Jang Ik have already introduced themselves, as they appear quite familiar with each other. Well, since it's come to this, we should drink and relieve our pent-up feelings. Kim Young-hoon smacks his lips and disappears briefly before reappearing. In his hand is a cloth bag, inside which are a small table for drinks, a bottle of alcohol, and a side dish. Jang Ik, Kim Young-hoon, and I sit atop the mountain and begin drinking together. By the way, I notice even Cedar Wood Grove uses chopsticks. I introduced them myself, since they can double as daggers in emergencies. Kim Young-hoon has already distributed chopsticks and spoons to Cedar Wood Grove, and Jang Ik seems completely accustomed to chopsticks as he uses them skillfully to pick up the side dish. The side dish looks like a pure white bellflower root salad, though it resembles stripped tree bark. Despite its appearance, it tastes incredibly good. Moreover, with each bite, my consciousness becomes clearer, and a boundless stream of heaven and earth spiritual energy seems to spring forth within me, making it appear to be a remarkable elixir on its own. Though I'm currently in a clone state, even just transferring the spiritual energy to my main body through the plane of soul would be considerably beneficial. A spiritual elixir effective even for those at the star-shattering stage. What on earth is this? As I take a sip of the drink and some of the side dish, curiosity crosses my face, prompting Kim Young-hoon and Jang Ik to speak. The liquor is white red wine. I prepared it in advance since it seems you like it. Oh, thank you, but what is this side dish? It's incredibly delicious. Jang Ik picks up another bite of the side dish and explains. It's sacred Master Beakwoon's body. As I'm eagerly eating the tree bark that looks like bellflower root salad, I freeze on the spot. Since I went through so much in the Lightning Sacred Sea, I pestered her for a nourishing elixir for my health. Generously, she told me to cut off whatever part I wanted from her body and eat it, so I brought some back. Couldn't it have been just a polite gesture? You know, like saying, you've been through so much. I wish I could even cut off a part of myself to feed you, or something along those lines. Not my problem. She should have chosen her words more carefully. Feeling uneasy, I remove the mouthful of sacred Master Beakwoon's body salad from my lips. Jang Ik clicks his tongue and says, Anyway, the bodies of the tall tree race are already traded in various places as spiritual elixirs. Since the tall tree race is half tree by nature, cutting off parts and selling them isn't an issue. Moreover, there are a lot of cases of the tall tree race themselves cutting their body to use as food for nutrients or for trading. And honestly, for any heaven tribe at the core formation stage and above, the physical body itself isn't even that important. I also got permission. Yes, well, if you put it that way. Though I still felt a bit uneasy. Since Sacred Master Beak Woon herself granted permission, I decided to just go along and eat it. Unlike chi-building pills or similar items, this is essentially like Sacred Master Beak Woon handing over her trimmed nails or toenails, so I don't feel too guilty about consuming it. Only slightly unsettled. While eating, a sudden curiosity strikes me, and I ask, by the way, which part of Sacred Master Beak Woon's body is this? Heh heh, curious are you? If you knew, neither of you would be able to put it in your mouths. Never mind. Though the feeling of unease grows, the taste of Sacred Master Beak Woon's body is truly akin to heavenly delicacy, so I decide to keep eating without further thought. Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon in particular eat the body of Sacred Master Beak Woon enthusiastically, while I just pick at it, letting them enjoy more. Then, when there are 3 pieces of Sacred Master Beak Woon's body left, Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon each grab a piece, quickly chewing and swallowing, while I slowly reach for the last piece. It's unsettling, but it's still a spiritual elixir, so it wouldn't hurt to eat it. Just as I pick up the last piece with my chopsticks. Taku. Kim Young-hoon's chopsticks flick my chopsticks away powerfully, snatching Beak Woon's body piece at the speed of light. No, what is? Just as I'm taken aback. Tung. A green light flashes as Jang Ik's chopsticks smack Kim Young-hoon's chopsticks back. Clatter. Thanks to that, the last remaining piece falls back onto the plate. Kim Young-hoon glares at Jang Ik with widened eyes. What are you doing? What are you doing? You should know how to yield something valuable to a senior. Shouldn't it be the senior who yields to the junior? Then why don't you yield to Seo Yoon-hyan? You always go around calling each other brothers. Seo Yoon-hyan reached this realm before me, so in cultivation terms, he's technically my senior. Is this brat drunk? The nonsense he's spouting is ridiculous. I look at the two and sigh as I say, you each took 1 piece when there were 3 left, so this last one should be mine. I'll take it, so please stop fighting. What nonsense is this? I went through the trouble of getting this from Beak Woon, so of course I should eat it. Neither Senior Jang nor Seo Yoon-hyan really need this, do they? I, however, want to eat it because the nature of light within this elixir aligns perfectly with my saber energy. Tick 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 tick. We clash our chopsticks as we bicker with each other. Why on earth are they acting like this? While Sacred Master Beak Woon's fragment is indeed an incredible spiritual elixir, I didn't expect it to cause an argument. They both seem awkward as they suddenly display a greed they normally don't show, fighting over a side dish. Watching them, I suddenly catch a glimpse of Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon's expressions. Only then do I understand. I failed to notice, because they're all good at concealing their intents and heart essences at this level. I chuckle as I move my chopsticks. I should have caught on when Kim Young-hoon brought out the drinking table, so was this their plan all along? Pong! A powerful energy wave explodes from my chopsticks, pushing the 2 of them back. Both of you should step aside. It seems I really must eat this. You greedy Heaven Tribe scoundrel, so you reveal your true colors. Gao, a mere deputy, dares to covet the director's side dish. Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon thrust their chopsticks forward, trying to snatch my side dish. Kim Young-hoon's chopsticks turn into golden radiance as they thrust towards me. Jang Ik's chopsticks dye green, unleashing overwhelming oppressive force that presses down on my momentum. Tutting! Kim Young-hoon's chopsticks flick the side dish caught between my chopsticks. The side dish flies into the air, and Jang Ik springs up from his seat, leaping after it. Simultaneously, Kim Young-hoon and I grab Jang Ik's leg with our chopsticks and slam him down to the ground. Jang Ik quickly rises again, swinging his chopsticks. Flashes scatter in all 4 directions. Both Kim Young-hoon's and my chopsticks snap. Yet we each create colorless and golden light chopsticks, using them to confront Jang Ik. Jang Ik rushes at us, wielding his chopsticks in a downward slash. Duckwing! Even though they're just chopsticks, the force of that single strike cleaves the mountain behind us cleanly in 2. Kim Young-hoon evades, while I let it phase through before slowly reaching out with my chopsticks towards the side dish falling from above. If I don't use my full power, they'll both be disappointed. Heaven, Earth, Heart. The 3 great ultimates rise behind my chopsticks. Though I've limited the energy to the chi refining level, the 3 great ultimates are still the 3 great ultimates. an overwhelming tyrannical force that suppresses Kim Young-hoon and Jang Ik, who are both displaying energy at the same chi refining level, begins to surge. I center my energy at the chi refining level and begin to accelerate my consciousness. Tiding. As my consciousness accelerates, the surroundings darken and the speed of our chopsticks clashing intensifies. Kim Young-hoon's speed now seems to have reached some kind of transcendence. It's no longer just fast. When I regain my senses, he's already moved his chopsticks. But it's not simply a matter of surpassing space. This is time reversal this crazy. 0.1 seconds. No, perhaps even shorter than slicing 0.1 second into 10 billion parts. Yet undeniably, his chopsticks briefly reversed time. His speed transcended time itself, even if only momentarily. Tukwing. Kim Young-hoon's chopsticks pin me in place. Jang Ik's chopsticks tear apart the chopsticks I formed, ripping through the space itself as he corners me. It's just above a small plate, yet within that space, 3 Heart Tribe members are fiercely battling. And at some point this three-way duel between me, Kim Young-hoon and Jang Ik, has turned into a battle between 2 factions, Kim Young-hoon and Jang Ik against me. The vision is different. Heaven path, earth path, heart path. I elevate all 3 visions to the level of the star-shattering stage. I read their history, fully grasping the techniques and intent Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon are preparing. At the same time, I foresee every possible outcome and block each of their moves in advance, even if the speed can momentarily transcend time. For someone like me, who can read both the past and the future, speed is meaningless. Everything is red. Tidididing. Kim Young-hoon's speed is indeed fast enough to transcend time, if only for a fraction. But it's useless. With an almost omniscient sense, I begin to predict and counter every move Kim Young-hoon makes. The tyrannical force granted by the 3 great ultimates overpowers Jang Ik's destructive power. The omniscience Chinese letter, gained from the 3 realms of heaven, earth, and heart suppresses Kim Young-hoon's speed. Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon gradually start increasing the synergy of their combined attacks. It seems they realize they have to join forces to match me. The storm above the plate grows more intense by the moment. We aren't simply bickering over a side dish with our chopsticks. Aware that my void-shattering realm is unstable, Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon have chosen to display their skills through a chopstick duel in a way to compete without having to use their full power for my sake. Dancing within the movements of chopsticks, this too is undeniably a martial contest. At some point, as I fend off their increasingly synchronized attacks, I slip into a state of ecstasy. My chopsticks transform into the all-heaven sword, while theirs become the surpassing radiant saber and the 4 treasures annihilating heaven's blade, clashing against me. In this trance, I recall the circle that Hyun Gwai once showed me. Can I reach that circle? The moment when Hyun Gwai shattered that circle without hesitation does not come to mind. Juk Guang of the tall tree race may be, by human standards, utterly deranged like a mad dog in heat. But what they said isn't entirely wrong. I should reach that realm first before making my judgment, even if the end of that path leads to Wuji shattering meaninglessly. I too will need to reach that realm before I can make my judgment. Can I reach it? It feels distant, yet it's beautiful. Sacred realm that all those who practice martial arts strive to attain. Can I reach it? So distant that it's despairing, even ominous. And yet, I will reach it, even if that place turns out to be truly ominous. I resolve to witness that summit with my own eyes as I make a grand movement with my hand. Crack! The plate shatters, and in the end, the last side dish slips from my grasp and falls towards Kim Young-hoon and Jang Ik. However, neither of them wear the expression of a victor. Is that it? That so-called ultimate of martial arts you claim to have seen? It seems Jang Ik saw something through me just now, as he makes an anguished expression. I give a bitter smile. Kim Young-hoon lets out a slightly drained laugh. I won the side dish, but I've lost in enlightenment. Yet he quickly regains his composure, laughing more heartily as if delighted. Well, what does some side dish from a sacred master's body matter compared to martial arts? Seeing something that great is far more fitting as a side dish. He tosses away the fried fragment of Baek-woon's body, and Jang Ik, no longer fixated on the side dish, grabs the white red wine and drinks directly from the bottle. Jang Ik asks. Still can't pick up the sword. I nod with a bitter smile. I might be able to contest a bit in martial arts skills like we did just now, but I still don't have the confidence to wield the sword. If I were to hold the sword, it still feels like it will simply vanish. The circle that Hyun Gwai showed me was that terrifying, that sacred, and also that ominous. Well, so be it. There'll come a day when we can truly duel. I'll let you off for today. Jang Ik clicks his tongue and drinks, while Kim Young-hoon closes his eyes and replays my intent earlier, his face flushed as if intoxicated by it. And so, our brief martial contest under the guise of a drinking party comes to an end. No one knows what the result would have been if we had used real swords and weapons and given our all. But at least with chopsticks, the judgment was in my favor. After a brief exchange of greetings with my comrades, I share information about Jeon Myung-hoon's situation only with my fellow Enders, excluding Yeon Wei and the others. So, he's undergoing terrible torture at the hands of Golden Shaking Bird. Yes, however, I've formed a temporary alliance with the Coatreal bastard to rescue him. Kim. Kim Yeon looks at me with worried eyes, trying to say something. Sorry, I can't understand you. I realize that I'll need to find a way to interpret her gestures and language at some point. After discussing Jeon Myung-hoon's situation, Kang Min-hee's location tracking, and our future plans with my comrades, I step out of Cedar Wood Grove for a moment. A lot has happened. I rose to the star-shattering stage, attracted the obsession of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, scolded Ham Jin, encountered Golden Shaking Bird, and as Jeon Myung-hoon was kidnapped, it marked the end of the Lightning Sacred Sea expedition. Then I met Hyun Gwai, who is presumed to be the heavenly venerable of the void, witnessed the ultimate of martial arts, and joined hands with Coatreal, entering a contract. And now I briefly exchanged moves with Kim Young-hoon, who has risen to void shattering, and Jang Ik. Truly, it feels like an overwhelming number of absurd events have happened, so much so that it's difficult to summarize. Now, after finding Kang Min-hee, I need to find a method to reach her mind, and I also need to begin my star-shattering cultivation. I can't rescue Kang Min-hee immediately. Inside her soul, there's a hole directly connected to the deepest part of the netherworld. I need to either close that hole or find a way to break free from the netherworld's influence. Until then, she will have to be sealed temporarily once I find her. For 10,000 years, while finding ways to save my comrades from the end, rescue Kang Min-hee, and rescue Jeon Myung-hoon, let's cultivate. I return my consciousness to the astral realm. Now, I just need to wait for news about Kang Min-hee from Coatreal and seal her once she's found. A few years later, news of Kang Min-hee comes from Coatreal. Did I hear that wrong? No, you heard correctly, Taoist CEO. What exactly happened to Kang Min-hee? She died, and then she reincarnated. What is this bullshit that only you would? Without another word, Coatreal hands me a crystal orb containing a recording spell. When I activate the crystal orb inside, I see an infant Kang Min-hee babbling incoherently. 100 years and some decades since Kang Min-hee parted ways with us. In that period of time, short if short, long if long, she has died and reincarnated. First, explain, my head hurts, please make it understandable. To explain this, I must first tell you about the advancement ritual for the sacred vessel stage. From Coatreal's mouth comes an explanation about the sacred vessel advancement ritual. The advancement ritual for the sacred vessel stage is like the ship of Theseus. What? I'm momentarily dumbfounded by the absurd phrase that suddenly popped out of Coatreal's mouth, but then I realize the reason and nod my head. Did you learn that from Ohio? Yes, I have learned many things about our homeland from her. Since Taoist Seo and your comrades are clearly the main figures of this generation, it seemed beneficial to study it, if only to communicate better with Taoist Seo. Well, fine, just keep explaining. By the way, is Taoist Seo familiar with the concept of the ship of Theseus? My wife mentioned that Taoist Seo might be too stupid to know about it. I know, so get to the point. The ship of Theseus. You remove an old plank from a large ship and replace it with a new one. Then whenever other parts wear out, you repeat the process. At the end, when every plank has been replaced with new ones, can you still call it the same ship that Theseus sailed on when he slew the Minotaur? The star-shattering stage is the phase where the soul transforms into attraction force. However, from the sacred vessel stage onwards, attraction force reaches its peak, and the soul gradually transforms into immortal arts itself. Therefore, the advancement ritual from the star-shattering stage to the sacred vessel stage requires replacing one's entire life with immortal art. What kind of process would make Kang Min-hee reincarnate? Strictly speaking, it's not as though she actually died, crossed the Nether Crossing River, went to the underworld, faced judgment, and reincarnated. She simply grounded all her accumulated cultivation, mind, soul, and rank into the astral realm and scattered them. In other words, it's the concept of clones or leftovers. However, while typical clones or leftovers are created one or two at a time, since one completely shatters oneself during the star vessel ritual, thousands, tens of millions of clones and leftovers are created. Coatrial's explanation continues. Let me explain about the sacred vessel advancement ritual. If the star-shattering stage is the realm where one explodes everything of oneself, then the sacred vessel stage is the realm where one scatters everything. Cultivation, consciousness, authority, all of it is scattered, leaving fragmented versions of oneself closer to mortal rank in a designated area. Then, using the immortal art one has chosen, one begins to integrate these fragments, one by one, centering around that immortal art. Integrating the fragments around the immortal art. The simplest example is right before your eyes. As I look at the tainted soul filling the heavens, I roughly grasp the concept. One lays down the immortal art they aim to attain, then shatters their body into fragments, spreading them beneath that immortal art. Then they gather those fragments one by one, merging them back together with the immortal art as the center. I ask to confirm if my understanding is correct. You've understood well. Hold on, there's something I still don't quite get. Doesn't that mean that without something like your tainted soul filling the heavens, advancement to the sacred vessel stage is nearly impossible? Haha, there's a misunderstanding. One only becomes slightly vulnerable during the sacred vessel advancement, not to the point of it being impossible. Because, typically, one entrusts their personality to the immortal art. What do you mean by that? For instance, suppose one scatters and spreads everything of themselves beneath the immortal art examination of doubts. In that case, examination of doubts doesn't just remain as examination of doubts. The immortal art examination of doubts is also embedded with the personality of the main body, born within the area where the fragments are scattered. This immortal art, imbued with the main body's personality, absorbs the other fragments, gradually regaining strength, authority, and memories, and grows before finally rising to the sacred vessel stage. I understand. Then this appearance of Kang Min-hee you showed me is. I look at her within the crystal orb and speak. Not Kang Min-hee herself, but an immortal art with her personality. You could say so. It really is the ship of Theseus. Entrusting one's personality to an immortal art, which then becomes their main body. In that case, does an existence after the sacred vessel stage become entirely different from before the sacred vessel stage? I understand for now, thanks, or helping me find Kang Min-hee's location. It's nothing, and here are the requested movement records and current position of the ghost mother. I take the data gathered by Coatrial and Ohisio, look over it, and then rise from my seat. The maximum distance that typical late star, shattering stage cultivators can travel in a single leap with the ground shrinking technique is around 1.5 light years. Fortunately, the distance between her and me is currently about 15 light years. According to Jiu Waljin, I'm practically at the grand perfection star shattering level, so I should be able to reach her in about 8 or 9 days. Then I shall take my leave now. I need to start preparing for my wife's star-shattering advancement soon, and above all, she gets fussy if I'm away too long. The next time we meet will be in 10,000 years at the lightning sacred sea. After finishing his words, Coatrial melts into the darkness of the universe and disappears. I watch him for a moment, then use the ground-shrinking technique towards a distant point in the cosmos. Flash. I muster all my strength and leap across the vast expanse of space. I cover an immense distance in an instant, and as a result, I find myself temporarily drained and need to take a brief rest at that spot. I should fully recover in just 1 day. In a little over a week, I should be able to reach her. Just wait a little longer, I'm coming to help you. The place I arrive at is familiar. Menjian continent. Once, during my 4-axis stage cultivation, while running the Wuji religious order, this was the world where I first stopped by and forged a contract. Since the people of this world haven't named the star itself, I suppose I'll call it Menjian Star for convenience. Menjian Star is shrouded in ghostly energy everywhere. A few hundred years ago, while conducting my Axis Foundation practice, I lent my power as the Wuji Ghost King to a Menjian Star cultivator named Yu Hui. After that, Yu Hui served me and cultivated the Ghost Path method, supposedly becoming a well-known cultivator on Menjian Star. Is it because of that? It seems that thanks to Yu Hui, the Ghost Path method is popular across Menjian Star. Perhaps Kang Minhee chose to scatter her cultivation on this Menjian Star for that very reason. Should I search for Yu Hui? I sweep my consciousness domain across the entire Menjian Star, and soon I find him, secluded and facing a critical juncture as he advances from the core formation stage to the nascent soul stage. I could help him, but it's probably better for him to overcome something like this on his own. Besides, it doesn't look like he's in danger of dying yet. I decide not to interfere with Yu Hui unnecessarily, and instead survey the entire star system where the Menjian Star is located. Since I'll be watching over Kang Minhee for a long time anyway, I might as well conduct my star-shattering stage cultivation here in this star system. It would be best to prepare for cultivation by finding a reasonably large planet that I could orbit around. However, after scanning the entire star system, I realize that there's no planet large enough to bear the size of my main body. The main body being big, is also a problem. After spending several days examining nearby neighboring star systems, I finally come to a realization. My body is too large, so I can't conduct star-shattering cultivation on a typical planet. What should I do? After much contemplation, I eventually extend my gaze towards the fixed star. Fixed star, the massive lump of light also known as a sun. After pondering for a long while, I finally make a decision. I should be able to use a fixed star, right? I discreetly choose one of the orbits in this star system and settle my main body there. Fortunately, my main body naturally integrates into the star system, and the star veins flowing from the fixed star don't reject me. For now, it doesn't seem like conducting my star-shattering cultivation here will be impossible. I retrieve Seo Ran and Hong Fan from the alternate space and explain the situation to them. I see. That's right, that's why I need a bit of your help, Seo Ran. No problem, I can lend it as much as Senior needs it. Thank you. I place Seo Ran, Hong Fan, and one of my incarnations on Seo Ran's nether crossing ship and send them towards the Menjian Star, east of Menjian continent. In a corner of Bikju City, part of the subordinate nation under the commanding spirit school. In that place, where an unusually heavy yin energy flows, a ghost with disheveled hair cradles a baby and sings a lullaby. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. The stars and moon are quiet too. Hush, little baby. Then, a young man emitting spirit energy appears in the place where the ghost resides. He is a chi-building cultivator from the commanding spirit school, sent to exterminate the ghosts that have been recently appearing frequently in Bikju City. Holding a talisman, the man approaches the ghost and bursts in anger. Wicked ghost, are you from an evil ghost path sect? This is the territory of the subordinate nation under the commanding spirit school. If you don't scram immediately, I'll exterminate you. But the ghost pays him no mind, and only hums to the baby in its arms. The man frowns. Is it a mindless minor spirit? So it's not from another ghost path sect, but a naturally occurring vengeful ghost. But how could such a minor spirit enter Bikju City, where the commanding spirit school's barrier is active? As the man draws closer to the ghost, he flinches in surprise. What? This child is emitting yin energy, so it's a constitution that attracts ghosts. A constitution that draws vengeful ghosts into Bikju City, which is protected by a vengeful ghost barrier. How evil. Quadragigic. The man swings his talisman, scattering the ghost. As a result, the baby that was in the embrace of the ghost falls to the ground, crying loudly. Forgive me, with such an evil constitution, especially in the current situation where the influence of the ghost path sects are growing under the Death Spirit King, Yu Hui, a being like you cannot be allowed to live. Just disappear and attain Buddhahood. He raises the lightning-scattering talisman. Clench. Someone grabs the man's wrist. Who are you? Do not gaze directly upon this esteemed one. Kailagu. The chi-building stage man's eyeballs burst, and glass-colored flames begin to burn from where his eyes once were. No, the man's entire body begins to ignite in glass-colored flames. Kyuagag hyukyuk, gyuhiwak, kyuhiwak. Oh dear, you look directly. But do not worry. This is not even this esteemed one's glass true fire, just a mere shadow with less than a millionth of its full power. You will neither go mad nor suffer any aftereffects. In fact, your chances of reaching core formation in this lifetime have increased by 7/10, so consider it a blessing. The being who finished speaking grabs the man burning with flames and hurls him towards the sky. As the man flies through the air, the flames extinguish, and he becomes trapped inside a large glass crystal. He then falls back down, landing at his own commanding spirit school. The being who threw the man away. The man dressed in white looks at the baby who is crying loudly and gestures somewhere. Then the ghost that had just been scattered reforms and gently cradles the baby, soothing it. After a short while, the baby falls asleep again. The man in white lowers his rank and gazes at the baby. It's been a while, Kang Min-hee. Now, for a long while I'll stay by your side. He strokes the child's head and speaks. I'll find a way to save you, so just wait a little longer. The man in white, Seo Yoon-hyun, sits next to his former lover who turned into a baby and looks up at the sky. In the sky of Minjeon continent, a new star appears. The core formation esteemed ones of the continent observe the new star, recognizing it as an ominous star symbolizing immense suffering, and predict that great calamities will soon sweep over the entire continent. No, over the entire world. Amidst the turbulent era on the chaotic Minjeon star, 10 years pass. Minhea Kamit. It has already been 10 years since I arrived on Minjeon star. I built a house in the mountains of a subordinate nation east of the Minjeon continent and raised Kang Min-hee. Dujijudo. I hear the sound of Kang Min-hee running from a distance. Min-hee-ah, I told you to please not run upside down on your hands before meals. Aloo. With a slightly downcast expression, she jumps up while in a handstand position. Then ghost-like beings appear around her, supporting her, and she floats over to the dining table in their arms. As soon as Kang Min-hee mumbles something, the ghosts each bring her water and wash her hands. All right, let's eat. Ooh. With her small hands, she wraps up food and chews it slowly. Over the past 10 years, I've observed Kang Min-hee and came to know something. She is unable to speak, and she cannot walk on her 2 legs. Instead, she walks upside down on her hands or is carried by ghosts, and occasionally mutters something in an incomprehensible, strange language. I didn't understand at first, but I recently found out that the language she speaks is used only by the upper echelon of the netherworld. While chewing her food, Min-hee mumbles something softly in her small voice. As she mumbles, the celestial energy changes drastically. Even though she cannot use any spiritual power, authority, or attraction force, her muttering causes the attraction force throughout the entire star system to tremble. Min-hee-ah, I told you to be quiet while eating. Ooh. Kang Min-hee sighs as if annoyed that I don't understand her meaning, then puts more food in her mouth. Is that her immortal art which forms the core of her sacred vessel advancement ritual? Only recently, by interpreting her language, have I been able to learn what her immortal art is. The name of the immortal art is the flawless mantra. It is not something Kang Min-hee originally learned, but rather, I believe it is a mantra imparted to her by the forces of the underworld through her ghostly yin transformation immortal root. Chapter 489, Esteemed One's Path 3. Immortal cultivation is, ultimately, a bridle. Traction force is a chain, and fate is a bar. However, if one wishes to escape this inverted world from which there is no escape, one must first reach the pinnacle of the bridle. The first step towards that pinnacle is to draw a circle. Draw a perfect circle, flawless in every aspect. It is from there that it all begins. This is what is called flawlessness. From the formula of the flawless mantra. It has been 20 years since I arrived at Minjeon Star. Kang Min-hee has finally become an adult. Well-wung. Upside down, she calls for her ghosts and flies through the air, expressing joy. Is it perhaps due to the instinctive drive of the sacred vessel state advancement ritual? Since the moment she could communicate with me through her womb, she has been eager to explore the world. She's probably trying to retrieve her scattered fragments spread across Minjian's star. But I did not permit it. Among her scattered fragments, there are already numerous monsters who have reached the heavenly being stage, and there is the real possibility that Kang Min-hee, the core of the advancement ritual, could be killed by one of her own fragments. If that were to happen, she would really die during the sacred vessel advancement ritual. Over the past 20 years I've spent here, I cross-verified the details of the sacred vessel advancement ritual by sending an incarnation to sacred Master Beak Woon, and it seems Seo Atrial's explanation is correct. I heard that each of the fragments desire to become the main body and wield authority for themselves. They don't want to be absorbed by Kang Min-hee, rather, they want to kill her. Following the advice I received over 20 years from sacred Master Beak Woon through my incarnation, I kept Kang Min-hee confined to this mountain valley until she reached adulthood. Could it be due to the innate influence of her ghostly yin transformation, immortal root? Or perhaps it's a trait common to all who have reached the star-shattering stage through the ghost path method. Since she was young, she possessed the talent for subjugating ghosts with just her gaze and thoughts. However, there were occasional incidents where her mind nearly succumbed to being invaded by the ghosts. Her power to subdue ghosts was not yet complete. I promised her that once her power fully matured upon reaching adulthood, she would be allowed to travel across the Minjian continent, which is why she is so delighted right now. Her physical body has matured, and she's grown accustomed to her authority. There's no need to worry about her being consumed by her own abilities. Very well, I grant you permission. From now on, you are free to travel the Minjian continent and see the world. However, I signaled to Seo Ran, who steps forward to join us. From now on, you will learn cultivation methods from Teacher Seo Ran, who has learned the Ghost Path method. Teacher Seo Ran will be your master and follow you, teaching you in the Ghost Path method. He will also protect you in times of danger. Wung. Kang Min-hee ponders for a moment, then nods. In fact, she seems to like Seo Ran, flying up above him and grabbing his horn, shaking it with delight. Perhaps it's due to the strong sense of camaraderie they share, both being from Black Ghost Valley. Well, everything's fine, but why is she flying upside down? She used to walk upside down on her hands. When I asked her to do something about the dirt getting on her hands, she settled for flying upside down instead. Seo Ran looks up at Kang Min-hee with a slightly taken aback expression, while I pack her belongings and hand them over to one of the ghosts under her command. Well then, off you go, Min-hee. I'll be waiting. Wung. Kang Min-hee, still upside down, gives me an enthusiastic farewell before descending along the valley. Seo Ran hurriedly follows after her, while I sit on the porch and watch as she grows more distant. In the past, she always looked exhausted or a bit sad, but for the past few years she's always been bright, so it's nice to see. Hong Fan, are you here? Sururuk. Hong Fan slithers out from behind a beam like a snake and transforms into a human before standing behind me. Now at the grand perfection integration stage, Hong Fan looks as youthful as someone in his mid to late 50s. He no longer looks like an old man, but rather like a slightly aged middle-aged man. Yes, please ask. How is the interpretation of the flawless mantra coming along? For the past 20 years, I've entrusted Hong Fan with the interpretation of the flawless mantra. I believe it might be the key to breaking Kang Min-hee's curse. Perhaps Kang Min-hee's loss of rationality is because she obtained an immortal art like the flawless mantra from the underworld. It seemed that researching the flawless mantra is necessary to sever her curse, so I began interpreting it alongside Hong Fan for that purpose. But in the midst of interpreting the flawless mantra, Hong Fan started showing unusual reactions. Some memory. It feels like I'm beginning to remember something. Memory? What kind of memory? Strangely, it feels like something from a past life. As for what this memory really is, it's unclear. Could it be that your past life was somehow related to the flawless mantra? Not certain, but I feel like I used to know a great deal about the flawless mantra. Whenever Hong Fan would look at the flawless mantra, he would clutch his head, saying that something from his past life seemed to resurface, so left the interpretation entirely to him, hoping to help him awaken those memories. After all, I can't fully comprehend an immortal art like the flawless mantra anyway with my level. It's probably better to leave it to Hong Fan, who claims to have known it in his past life. I feel like I'm on the verge of recalling something, but to be honest, it may take some time at this pace. Perhaps at this rate, it could even take thousands of years. Take your time. Your memories may be even more important, so focus on recovering those as well. Ho-ho, in truth, the only memories that are resurfacing are specifically related to the flawless mantra. No other memories come to mind. Is that so? Very well, then just do as much as you can. After encouraging Hong Fan, I inform him of my own plans. Now, I must also begin my cultivation. As you roam throughout this star system, keep an eye out for anything suspicious approaching. Up until now, I have personally protected the entire star system with my main body. Just in case entering Nirvana true persons or others appeared, I needed to be prepared. Additionally, there are countless large rock fragments in the astral realm, so I've been using my main body to clear those that approach this star system to prevent Menjian's star from being obliterated overnight. Now Hong Fan will take over that role. As you command. Hong Fan immediately rises to the sky and heads toward the outskirts of the star system. After watching him for a moment, I sit in a lotus position. Who? I inhale, drawing in heaven and earth spiritual energy. The energy within my incarnation rapidly amplifies, reaching the sixth star of Qi refining. In the past, I used to struggle to reach beyond Qi refining seventh star. Wung. Now, there's no need to align with the auspicious time to perform the seven stars ritual. This is because, by tracing the star veins connected to the main body, I can directly locate the stars corresponding to the seven stars ritual and draw upon their power. My main body acts as the altar, and the star veins as the ritual. Thus, there's no need for the tedious steps of setting up an altar and performing the rites anymore. Flash. After I cross the seventh star of Qi refining, I continue to supply my incarnation with heaven and earth spiritual energy. In an instant, my incarnation advances to the Qi building stage, reaching the first constellation, second constellation, third constellation, and fourth constellation of Qi building. At this point, merely drawing in heaven and earth spiritual energy from the surroundings no longer elevates my realm easily. It's about time to receive directly from the main body. Kagagugugu. Light flashes in the sky, and then, as if intending to envelop the entire vicinity, a beam of light pierces down into the valley. Who? Core formation, early, mid, late, grand perfection. Nascent soul, early, mid, late, grand perfection. Heavenly being, early, mid, late, grand perfection. Quadragigic. Absorbing all the heaven and earth spiritual energy transmitted by the main body, my incarnation instantly leaps into the heavenly being stage. A typical heavenly being cultivator would ascend at this point. In the astral realm, it is difficult to procure enough heaven and earth spiritual energy to advance beyond this realm. For a typical heavenly being cultivator in the astral realm to advance to the next stage, they would generally need to gather heaven and earth spiritual energy until their lifespan reaches its limit, and then challenge the four-axis stage. Of course, I have no such need. Quarvirung. Once again, a massive amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy is sent down in a single heap from the main body. I absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy with the vast cold heavenly circle and advance to the four-axis stage. Kagagugugu. Heavenly tribulation rumbles in the sky, but as soon as the main body sends forth its will, the clouds themselves disperse. Now, unless it's a heavenly tribulation of integration stage or higher, I have no need to endure it. I have now reached the four-axis stage, no, the earth-axis stage. I rise to the stratosphere of the Menjian star, overlook the Menjian continent, and begin my earth-axis cultivation. Zhejiang. This is the benefit of forming the axis through the five blessings axes, or like me, constructing all the earth axes. Within my main body, among the various energies that constitute the colorless sword mountain treading sea great star, the energies of the five blessings and six extremes axes and the five elements axis resonate with my will, flowing into the area created within my incarnation's nascent soul. Simultaneously, the axes of five blessings, six extremes, and five elements of my main body and incarnation resonate, further strengthening the connection between my main body and my incarnation. It's still not enough to call them true axes. It's still merely the seeds of the axes, with energy too weak to be considered genuine axes. Over the next few years, If I imbue energy and consciousness into these axis seeds, I'll be able to make them into true axes. This is the difference in how one establishes the axes during the four-axis stage. Depending on the axes established during the four-axis stage, the type of axes one can form for the incarnation during the star-shattering stage varies. Those who form their axes with the heterodox axis foundation will end up creating incarnations based on the heterodox axis foundation, even in the star-shattering stage. On the other hand, those like me who establish their axes through the 12 earthly branches axes will continue to form the 12 earthly branches axes even at the star-shattering stage. I didn't realize how crucial the first step would be. After nurturing the axis seeds for about 100 years, I should be able to advance to the integration stage as a complete Earth axis cultivator. Good, now let's wait patiently. Looking down from the sky of the Menjian star, I gaze at Kang Minhee and Seo Ran as they travel across the Menjian continent as I slowly nurture the axis seeds. In this manner, about 100 years pass. A message arrives from my comrades in the bright cold realm. Hanwan has been killed by Yonwei. What on earth happened? Beside Cedar Wood Grove, I manifest a heart essence avatar and approach her, who is imprisoned within the Human Race District's detention center. She is not in the body of Yeonjin, but instead inside a puppet seemingly crafted in her own appearance by Kim Yeon, her eyes gloomy as she meets mine. Hanwon is dead. This means that an integration stage grand cultivator of the human race has died, and simultaneously, someone who seemed both to be and not to be Yeon Wei's pillar of dependence has perished. And it was Yeon Wei herself who carried out the act. She rolls her eyes, looking at the guards behind me. I would like to speak alone. The guards glare at her, but I dismiss them with a gesture, then separate the surrounding space from the bright cold realm and ask, what on earth happened? No, more importantly, how did you, who lost all your cultivation through who knows what, manage to kill Hanwon? I used Hanwon's bloodline to trigger a curse that traces back through his ancestors. That curse met my own curse already within his body, amplifying and driving Hanwon's condition to its worst. Then, I took advantage of that moment to lure him into a trap and activated the trap to kill him. When I told him that the Chinra or Jian-Ra woman he believed dead was still alive, he willingly followed me. Why did you kill him? I haven't finished explaining how I killed him yet. I gaze at Yeon Wei, whose heart essence has fallen into confusion and panic, and ask with a bitter expression. All right, continue. Despite everything, how could someone like me, stripped of all my cultivation, really be able to kill Hanwon? So I revealed the truth to him, a truth he absolutely could not deny. A truth. Bloodline. No matter how much he feigned madness for tens of thousands of years, refusing to see the truth, bloodline cannot be hidden. A cruel smile spreads on Yeon Wei's lips. Yeonjin is, in fact, a descendant of the child of Hanwon and me. There is a technique called long pregnancy, overflowing the heavens, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. It's a secret art of the tall tree race that I acquired while plundering resources from them before my engagement with Hanwon. It extends the usual gestation period of 10 months to 100 years, in exchange for transforming the child quality into the physique known as the long heaven body, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. This physique absorbs heaven and earth spiritual energy 100 times faster than that of other races. The only reason the tall tree race, whose only claim to fame is being descendants of sacred Master Beak Woon, holds influence in the bright cold realm is because of this secret art. The smile hanging on her lips deepens. However, to me, it doesn't look like she's smiling. Rather, it looks like she's screaming. I wanted our child to reign over the bright cold realm, but Hanwon went mad, and in the process of fighting him, I ended up using all the spiritual energy required to activate long pregnancy overflowing the heavens that I had infused into the embryo. In the end, the child born after I reduced Hanwon's cultivation was just an ordinary child. I gave them the surname Yeon, and the continuation of the bloodline in secret from Hanwon is the present Yeonjin. For 1,000 years before and after that period, I was the only one Hanwon was with. Perhaps because of this, when his memories became distorted, he believed he was only ever with the one named Chinra. He forgot about his relationship with me. So, I revealed Yeonjin's bloodline to him, making him remember who he truly had been with back then, in a way he could not deny. The panic in her eyes grows even more intense. Isn't it astonishing? That Hanwon, the Hanwon who couldn't recover no matter how he was treated, Only then did he come to his senses. Only then did he realize that something was wrong. Drip, drip, drip. Something falls from her eyes. Despite being a puppet body, her consciousness, laden with the intent of sorrow, resonates with the heaven and earth spiritual energy around her, causing blue spiritual energy to flow from the puppet's eyes. And then he asked me to kill him. He said his entire life had been a marionette puppet show. He begged to be set free and flew into the Dharma treasure I held, impaling himself and taking his own life. I only meant to deal a final blow to Hunwon before I died myself, but somehow it ended with him committing suicide. I reported to the Grand Cultivator Association that I killed him. To them, Hunwon was tormented by me until the end and then killed. The Bengali place lord pitifully taking his own life. I didn't want to say that. She looks up at me with gloomy eyes. But I can tell Lord Divine Spirit, right? Isn't that right? O Divine Spirit, who tramples on all our hopes and toys with us. She glares at me, growling with a voice that seems to boil from her very guts. It seems Lord Divine Spirit isn't aware of the wonders that the Golden Divine performed. In truth, at Shattered Heaven Peak, there is an immortal art that can pinpoint the location of disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and confirm their state of fate. It was kept secret even from the Divine Spirit and hidden until the very end, but it seems Lord Divine Spirit didn't know that. I let out a low groan in response to her words. Where is Myeonhoon right now? And why did you cast him somewhere to leave him with a fate status of being tortured until his personality collapses, while you're cultivating in the astral realm as if in seclusion? It's almost as if. Bujajuduk. Yon Wei's fingers scrape across the prison floor. After taking spiritual medicine, you're digesting it, isn't that right? Yon Wei grits her teeth and glares up at me. Just how much? You need to toy with us to be satisfied. Just how much? Please tell me, where has our founder's reincarnation, the hope of the great golden divine heavenly thunder sect Jian Myeonhoon gone? Heavenly King, heavenly domain. Inside the Palace of Radiance. At its center, beneath the seat of light, 8 colossal giants of light appear. Did you feel it? Indeed. All of them simultaneously look somewhere with grave expression. The great mountain supreme deity, Rachin, Chinese letter has. In the Heavenly King, heavenly domain's time, at the time of Gi Chinese letter, vanished. With the sudden disappearance of the great mountain supreme deity, they exchange words while communicating with someplace in an alarmed manner. What should we do? We must immediately lift the seal on the Earth axis heavenly domain and observe the inner regions to determine the truth and falsity. Is there a chance this was staged by them? What nonsense! Look at the immortal registry Chinese letter. In the immortal registry created by the owner of names, the light of the great mountain supreme deity Rachin has disappeared. Rachin has died. As it stands, the death of the being known as Rachin is beyond question. Regardless, we must observe the truth. Do you even know how much prophecy is consumed to seal the Earth axis heavenly domain and create a new sealing heavenly domain? The longer we delay, the more prophecy will be wasted. Uncovering the truth comes first. Agreed. Even if they somehow succeeded in casting off the name bestowed upon them by Hyungo, they would need time to adjust to the loss of the name's power. At this moment, even if we open the gate to the Earth axis heavenly domain, we can sufficiently prevent their escape. However, we must take all necessary precautions, mobilizing the full power of the Radiance Hall as preparation. That way, whatever trick they might have employed, we can reseal them. The colossal beings of light. The Radiance 8 immortals. After exchanging their views, they finally reach a conclusion. All true immortals of the Radiance Hall, assemble. We will temporarily lift the seal on the Earth axis heavenly domain. They vanish from the Palace of Light in an instant and reach the vicinity of a dimensional entrance beyond the interdimensional void. At the entrance, enormous characters that spell Earth axis Chinese letter glow with light, and anchored around those luminous characters, chains vast enough to cover the universe envelop the entire dimension. Behind the Radiance 8 immortals, hundreds of divine spirits begin to appear one by one. As the Radiance 8 immortals extend their hands forward in unison, the characters over the entrance to the Earth axis heavenly domain disperse, and the entrance cracks open, ever so slightly. Though the gap is small, the radiant light emanating from the Radiance 8 immortals seeps into the Earth axis heavenly domain, illuminating it completely. Then, as the Radiant's 8 immortals illuminate the entire domain, they shout urgently in unison. Reseal it. Great Mountain Supreme Deity has. In the next moment, fifth seed of the Radiant's 8 immortals, the sword spear Heavenly Lord's manifested incarnation explodes within the domain. Simultaneously, a colossal arm emerges from within the entrance to the Earth-axis Heavenly Domain. The arm is so enormous that even the incarnations of the Radiant's 8 immortals, each one larger than a fixed star, look like mere bugs in comparison. The arm is a mountain, a gigantic mountain range that takes the form of an arm. And that mountain range, 1, 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100 million, trillion, 10 quadrillion, 100 quintillion, septillion, 10 octillion, 100 nonillion, undecillion, 10 duocillion, 100 tredecillion, quindecillion. It is a mountain range made of corpses as many as the sands of Ganges River, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, all weeping blood and lying in death. The mountain god, the eminent divine spirit known as the great mountain supreme deity, begins to exert their power against the forces of light. Aila, Kua, Kuyue. The corpses embedded in the body of the great mountain supreme deity all begin to scream in unison. At the sound of their screams, both the Earth-axis heavenly domain and the heavenly king heavenly domain shake violently. The Radiant's 8 immortals glare down at the great mountain supreme deity and growl. So that's it, they deceived us. No, they deceived everyone. They have been preparing this since 40,000 years ago. While everyone was distracted by that being's enthronement, they desecrated Chinese letter fate with a substitute. Dujujujujudo. Released from the seal, the great god draws upon their power and looks up at the Radiant's 8 immortals. Open the way to the audience chamber. Starting with the sword spear Heavenly Lord, who has just regenerated their incarnation, the Radiant's 8 immortals do not respond to their words. Simply clasping their hands together, they bow their heads slightly towards a point higher than themselves. Glory to the Radiant's supreme deity. Then above them, the splendidly resplendent seat of light reveals itself. In the sun and moon heavenly domain, Hun One realized the truth of Yon Wei's sincerity and chose to rush at her, embracing death. In the heavenly king heavenly domain, the Radiant's 8 immortals mistakenly believed that the great mountain supreme deity Rachan had died and opened the gate to the Earth-axis heavenly domain. In the Earth-axis heavenly domain, the great mountain supreme deity deceived everyone, emerging from their confinement. Thus, the entire heavenly domain began to tremble. TL note, as many as the Ganges River sands can also mean 10 sextillion. Bridle has the meaning of restricting the freedom of people livestock, but also protecting them. Chapter 490, Eve of the End, Chinese letter. Clank. O esteemed one, what has happened? Just what is? Covered in bruises, I step out of Yon Wei's holding cell. Don't worry about it, today's events will be kept under wraps. I emerge from Yon Wei's confinement room, bruised all over. Wung. Using my heart essence, I manipulate my heart essence avatar, restoring its bruised and damaged body back to its original state. Just moments ago, I released Yon Wei and sealed both of our spiritual power, internal energy, consciousness, intent, immortal art, all weapons and martial techniques, and fought with bare fists. Yon Wei was able to use her puppet's special abilities, so the fistfight between us was fairly intense. Without going that far, no words would have reached her. Her panic was that severe. After that, I spent quite some time explaining the truth to her. Golden Shaking Bird, the matured thunder beast created by Golden Divine Yang Sujin. The connection between the lightning sacred sea and Golden Shaking Bird, her plans. Sacred Master Beak Wound's descent, and how through her, Golden Shaking Bird kidnapped Jian Myohun. And how, to rescue Jian Myohun, I'm even working with a vile entity born from the blood yin realm. That given just 10,000 years, I am certain I will be able to save Jian Myohun. I explained all of this after a long bout of exchanging punches with her. I don't know if Yon Wei accepted it. I deliberately avoided checking her intent and heart essence. For the truth I could reveal, I conveyed to her with all my sincerity. Now accepting it is her part. Hun One. I hate Hun One. The fall of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect was partly due to that bastard. Just thinking about Hun One makes me want to immediately beat him to death on the spot. However, Killing him was at the very least Yon Wei's right. Not him recklessly rushing in and killing himself like that. I'm sorry, Yon Wei. Right now all I can do is just this much. With that thought, I disperse the heart essence avatar and prepare to return my consciousness to the astral realm. Kiang. At that moment, my heart essence avatar is suddenly at the white jade pavilion on Heavenly Lotus Mountain in the bright cold realm. I stand before sacred Master Beak Woon's throne. And I am not alone. The other esteemed ones of the bright cold realm. Heaven collapsing esteemed one Jang Ik, opening heaven esteemed one Waljin, trampling heaven esteemed one Ham Rak, slaughtering heaven esteemed one Juk Guang, final heaven esteemed one Jin Waryong, safe heaven esteemed one Guai Ro. Letter 213. And recently risen to the realm of esteemed one, and acknowledged as such by the sacred master, Kim Young-hoon. The 8 esteemed ones of the bright cold realm have all gathered in one place. All the esteemed ones, except for Jang Ik and Kim Young-hoon, prostrate themselves to the sacred master from where they stand. We pay our respects to the sacred master, Jang Ik, Kim Young-hoon, and I merely pay respects within the bounds of not being rude. Sacred Master Beak Woon waves her hand and speaks. That's enough. This is not the time for empty formalities. I'll get straight to the point. First, take a deep breath and prepare yourselves for the shock of the wisdom I'm about to reveal. At the sacred master's words, the esteemed ones murmur among themselves briefly before making preparations. Kim Young-hoon looks slightly bewildered as if not sure what to expect, but Jang Ik and I each explain to him a method to prepare oneself when facing higher beings. What on earth is she planning to show us? I harden my heart, using the ultimate sense of calm to clear my heart. Beak Woon scans the room and says, "It seems everyone is ready. In that case, I will tell you, in this world there are beings called governing immortals who oversee the entire world." The esteemed ones gathered in the white jade pavilion collapse to the floor simultaneously, vomiting blood like lava or heaven and earth spiritual energy. Even I, who built up some resistance, feel my head buzzing after hearing those words after so long. The one most affected, however, is Kim Young-hoon. Lacking almost any resistance to the concept of such beings, he bleeds from his 7 orifices, collapses to the floor trembling and nearly faints, foaming at the mouth. Jang Ik and I use our sub-heart sword and podao to stimulate his heart essence, helping him regain a bit of senses, but it is clear that he is struggling to adapt to the shock of the wisdom he has just received. She waits until we've somewhat recovered before she resumes speaking. And, among these governing immortals, the governing immortal known as the Mountain God and the governing immortal known as the Owner of Light are currently in the midst of a confrontation. A confrontation took place a few hundred years ago as well, and back then, it ended in the light's victory. I recall a few hundred years ago in the world's timeline. Around the 19th cycle of my regression, when the world's light dimmed for a moment, and the mountain spirit veins trembled for a moment. So that's it. Then, the reason such a phenomenon occurred across the entire world back then was because the great mountain supreme deity clashed with the light. At that moment, this is. My heavens, what on earth is happening? It is currently daytime. And yet suddenly, the light across the entire world dims. The sun loses its light, and a sky full of stars appears above. It doesn't end there. Chia. The stars in the sky, too, suddenly begin to lose their light. Dujujujujudo. Along with this, the spirit vein of the heavenly lotus great mountain where we stand begins to rampage wildly, shaking violently. Kujujujudo. Earthquakes spread across the entire bright cold realm. Volcanoes erupt in various places, and anything in the form of piled earth either collapses or begins to shake. Heavenly Lotus Great Mountain nearly crumbles as well, but with Beak Woon and all of us exerting our strength, we manage to keep the mountain stable. And a little while later, the strange phenomenon from moments ago fades away, and the sky returns to its normal daylight state. The trembling of the mountain ceases as well. But I can feel it. The mountain's spirit vein has weakened, and the light of the sky remains dim. Slaughtering Heaven esteemed one Juk Guang asks in a hopeful voice. It seems light has returned. Then, doesn't that mean that mountain or whatever has been defeated? Has it been sealed away again like a few hundred years ago? It appears that Juk Guang, having heard much from sacred Master Beak Woon, seems to know quite a bit. The other esteemed ones show expressions of joy at the words, but I feel a sense of unease. That great mountain supreme deity got sealed away this easily. The nightmare of that time still lingers in my mind, when they, with just a single phenomena extinguishing mantra, compressed the entire universe to annihilation using a mere projection, not even their main body. It makes no sense. The light is still weakened and the mountain spirit vein is also weakened. Could it be? Cautiously, I voice my speculation. Could it be that the two gods are still fighting? Both the light and the mountain's energy seem to be a bit weak. At my conjecture, Juk Guang retorts angrily. You faithless wretch, you dare doubt the great light, and yet you are the light's devote. Silence. Beak Woon speaks, her expression tense. At her words, Juk Guang clamps their mouths shut, and all the esteemed ones focus their attention on Beak Woon. Beak Woon seems to be observing something, gazing intently at the sky. I've heard that sacred master's foresight, by drawing on the power of the middle realm itself, can be comparable to that of a true immortal, but it seems she might be directly observing the battlefield of the deities, beyond the sun and moon, heavenly domain. Even if it's not to that extent, she might be able to calculate the celestial energy with the middle realm's power and read the situation on the battlefield. Just what is happening right now in the other heavenly domains. It's when we are all gripped with anxiety. Tremble, 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 tremble. Like an aspen tree, sacred Master Beak Woon begins to tremble like mad. Then she shouts in a voice filled with terror. Hear me, all esteemed ones. Hear me, all sacred masters. Hear me, all true persons. Even you, Blood Yin, listen. Ziyaving. I can feel her putting all her power into projecting her voice, making it resonate across the entire universe. The great mountain supreme deity has escaped from the grasp of the radiant supreme deity. They are heading somewhere. The sun and moon heavenly domain will be annihilated. Everyone prepare for destruction. Though, knowing the terror of the great mountain supreme deity, I scream as my eyes roll back in panic. Immediately make that evacuation space or whatever it is. Immediately. Dujujujujujudo. Astral realm. My half-crazed main body shoves the entire Menjian star, where Kang Min-hee is located, into an alternate space created by my attraction force, then frantically prepares to ascend to the bright cold realm. We're ascending. Siu Ran Hong Fan, prepare yourselves. I surrender my body to the attraction force of the bright cold realm, and quickly ascend my main body towards it. Since piercing through the path of ascension takes quite some time, my original plan was to just head to an astral realm area close to the bright cold realm and enter from there. But now is not the time to worry about such things. I smash through all the star-shattering stage vestiges, rushing towards me, and ascend to the bright cold realm in an instant. W8 Hong Fan, I left Hong Fan in the astral. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I'm sorry, Hong Fan. I realize I hadn't brought Hong Fan along, but there's no time to dwell on that now. In an instant, I summon my comrades towards me using attraction force, and while in my combat technique form, I pull them all into my embrace and shout. I love you, all of you. You have all been connections more than I deserve. For all this time, everyone has truly been undeserved connections in my life. Sacred Master Beak Woon, with light drained from her eyes, leans lifelessly against her throne, while the esteemed ones who are still unable to grasp the situation are yelling frantically at her to do at least something. And then, 5 faint projections appear in the white jade pavilion. From each of those presences I sense the aura of ancient force, aura of true devil, aura of nether ghost, aura of purple gold. Because I have built the 5 blessings axes, I can perceive them clearly. And from the final projection, as I feel the aura from that last projection, I recoil with goosebumps. Be Blood Yin. I cannot forget. The vicious true immortal who killed me hundreds of times. It is the presence of Blood Yin. As I stand there in shock, the projection imbued with the aura of ancient force speaks. Everyone, thank you for your hard work. It has been a good life. I recognize who he is. It's Sacred Master He Lin of the ancient force realm. Blood Yin's presence and He Lin's voice, then these people must be. It seems they are the sacred masters from the other middle realms. Beak Woon's body also glows, as if she has also sent her projection to other middle realms. Beak Woon speaks. We're all going to die in such an absurd way, but it was an enjoyable life in its own right. Those tall tree-race sapling brats trying to spread their pollen as well was enjoyable in its own way. Of course, back when I was young and undergoing the sacred vessel advancement ritual, I really wanted to exterminate Chinese letter them, but somehow I grew fond of them over time. Hey Lin, I remember helping you with your sacred vessel advancement as well. I remember clearly when I received assistance from the distinguished one. Banta, to think that the young sacred vessel is still holding the sacred master position, Keek, Ya Iem. Honestly, I still have no idea what you're thinking. And, Blood Yin, to you. I have so many things to say, but since we're about to die, I'll keep it to one. It's not as if you are truly unaware of who you are, so stop being so disgraceful. Her last words come to an end. Banta, the sacred master of the purple gold realm, opens their mouth. If I had known it would come to this, I wouldn't have advanced to the sacred vessel stage back then. In 500,000 years, I don't know what happened, but not a single worthwhile successor has shown up. These parasite purple gold realm esteemed one bastards. If I had known it would come to this, regardless of whether the living creatures of the purple gold realm are screwed or not, regardless of whether the purple gold heavenly lord's vestige appears and shatters the entire sun and moon heavenly domain to pieces or not, I would have just lived doing whatever I wanted. For some reason, they seem to have quite a few regrets. Then Yuo opens her mouth. All is according to the will of the Imperial Venerable. They are at work among us. Her words are brief. Just as Baekwoon is a devotee of the light, Yuo seems to be a devotee of the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Among the sacred masters, the sacred master of the true devil realm, Ya Iem, speaks last. I look at Ya Iem, and now understand where the first sea dragon king who appeared in the ancient force realm has been all this time. So he became the sacred master of the true devil realm. Ya Iem hesitates for a moment, then looks to the sky. Has that tyrannical god broken through the encirclement of light, given the obvious place they always targeted? It seems the sun and moon heavenly domain will soon be finished. Ho ho. He lets out a brief hearty laugh. Then Ya Iem turns to the projection of Blood Yin and opens his mouth. Ho ho, Blood Yin, you pathetic immortal. All this time you've been disgracefully trying to reclaim your honor by throwing a fit, and this is all that it amounts to in the end. To use as a protective charm in case of emergency, you created Hyun Iem as a reserve body. But then, terrified of that black dragon, who once couldn't even dare look at Yu Hao Ti's heel, might come to intervene, you created the sea dragon race to escape from the possibility of black dragon. If you were truly the former chief judge, you wouldn't have cared in the slightest what some black dragon does. The very fact that you resorted to such actions is a perfect demonstration that you're not the former chief judge at all. If you were truly Yu Hao Ti, there would have been an uproar, with the underworld rushing to receive you, with the Radiance Hall vying to invite you, and with third-party forces clamoring to welcome you. Doesn't this prove just how utterly moronic your conduct is? Please stop wallowing in the delusion of past glory and take a good look at reality. Are you pleased? For shedding the name given by Lofty Dragon and Sae Iem through Hyun Iem and me, creating a reserve body for emergencies and even as a sacrificial offering in one, and even using me meticulously and frugally to put the true devil realm under your control. Though I am no heavenly immortal, I dare prophesize this. Even if the tyrannical god does not descend, your own deeds will eventually strangle around your neck. If you ever get another chance, I sincerely hope you live properly this time. Ho ho, how refreshing. It feels like my chest has been completely cleared. Ho ho. At the words of the true devil realm sacred mater Ya Iem, the other sacred masters, the esteemed ones of the bright cold realm, Baekwoon and myself, all of us, even Blood Yin, stare at Ya Iem with dumbfounded expressions. Ya Iem, that guy. Wasn't he supposed to be just a fragment or puppet of Blood Yin? Who would have thought he held such a deep-seated resentment against Blood Yin, who is practically the main body? Then Blood Yin's projection opens its mouth. I only wanted to witness the Imperial Venerable's workings once again from that right-hand seat. That was all. They too seem to have much more to say, but after speaking plainly, they simply dispel their projection and vanish from the hall. In my incarnation, I bid my final farewells to the other esteemed ones inside the white jade pavilion, and in my main body, I tightly embrace my comrades and tell them I love them without restraint. Thus the great mountain supreme deity descends, and the sun and moon heavenly domain meets its end. Or so I thought. Sacred Master Baekwoon. What? Pardon me for asking, but when exactly are we supposed to be annihilated? Baekwoon, seeming slightly flustered, reads the celestial energy. The celestial energy is too disrupted by the battlefield of the gods to read any further. Even I do not know. Just why is the sun and moon heavenly domain not being annihilated? After trying for a while to read the celestial energy, Beak Woon lets out a deep sigh and speaks. For now, there's nothing more I can discern. In a few days, the gods I serve will provide a response. At that time, I'll submit a detailed inquiry and deliver their answer. At those words, I and the esteemed ones around me let out a sigh of relief. At the very least, Sacred Master Beak Woon's statement of a few days could be taken as a certified time frame. The interdimensional void between the Heavenly King, Heavenly Domain, and the Earth Axis, Heavenly Domain. There, traces of a colossal battle remain. The bodies of countless divine spirits are shattered, drifting in pieces throughout the interdimensional void, and the Radiant's 8 immortals at the center are trembling, flickering as though they might extinguish at any moment. The seat of light that was once above them is nowhere to be seen. The Radiant's 8 immortals are all trembling, as if humiliated. Cunning one. To feign directly entering the audience chamber, only to sharply change course. We had no idea their hidden power was this much. Weren't they nearly comparable to Prime Vast Cold, Obsidian and Silver Basket? There's no need for concern, unlike those monsters that one's power is consumable. Indeed, the more they expend that corpse mountain blood sea they accumulated, the more their strength will wane unless they have a stronger sacrifice. Such are the limits of the devil god's power. When the time comes, we'll capture them. After facing us, there's no way they'll be able to immediately find a powerful sacrifice. Let us wait for the right moment. It is then. A messenger from the Radiance Hall comes rushing towards them. A true person in the form of a bird swiftly flies over and delivers urgent news. O great gods, the tyrannical mountain has appeared in the horse ear heavenly domain. They are making contact with the heavenly punishment supreme deity. Upon hearing this, the Radiant's 8 immortals tremble as if struck by lightning and release a furious roar. Their rage-filled shout seems to reverberate across the entire 3,000 great thousand worlds. Prison of the heavenly punishment supreme deity. The imprisonment dimension, horse ear heavenly domain, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. In front of the heavenly domain that appears as a prison made of light, a colossal great mountain that seems to crush the entire universe appears. The great mountain seems to be communicating with the entity inside the horse ear heavenly domain. Cosmic voices and signals seem to pass back and forth between the inside and outside of the heavenly domain. After a moment, the domineering great mountain bellows in anger. DEFDATEDOFTHERWILLYOURDECAYBEDTERNAL. Then a reply comes from within the horse ear heavenly domain. Hearing the return message, the great mountain supreme deity begins to tremble. It is a tremor mixed with rage. INTHATCASE. Dujujujudo. The entire horse ear heavenly domain begins to shake. The great mountain supreme deity raises their hand. The imprisonment dimension that seals the heavenly punishment supreme deity begins to gradually compress. BECRUSHEDWITHHEDVENLYDOMAINNDPERISHDEFEDATEDOFFAT. Dujujujujudo. Along with the heavenly punishment supreme deity, the entire horse ear heavenly domain begins to crumple and be destroyed. Then before that great mountain, a white-haired woman appears. This woman, whose face cannot be seen, is dressed neatly and wears flower-patterned shoes. She bows to the great mountain supreme deity and speaks. Arrogant and savage tyrant, my lord will not come to an end. As if the words of a bug aren't even worth hearing, the great mountain supreme deity pays her no mind, focusing entirely on obliterating the owner of heavenly punishment along with the entire dimension. Their dream has already been passed on. Their prophecy will never end. They will not be devoured as a defeated one like your master. In the next moment, the white-haired woman Jingli is torn limb from limb. As if thoroughly crushing a bug to death, she is tortured before the great mountain supreme deity, repeatedly dying and resurrecting by the 100 millions, until finally, her entire body is shredded into pieces. Quadjujujuduk. And at last, having compressed the entire horse ear heavenly domain, the great mountain supreme deity swallows the compacted heavenly domain. Buwang. Huaya, Huaya, Uwag-aargh. From the mountain of corpses beneath them, lava-like blood tears burst forth, accompanied by the most agonizing screams ever heard. At the same time, dark red lightning seems to seethe and overflow around the great mountain. The great mountain supreme deity looks down upon the entirety of Mount Sumeru with an air of indifference and begins to draw forth their power. SHALLWBEGINTHESUPREMEDITYHUNT. The fate of the entire 3,000 great thousand worlds begins to shake.